Yo, what's up, everyone? Welcome to Xbox Ultimate Podcast. This is episode number 166. Got a fun show today. We got, Phil Spencer came out and shut everybody up that was talking about all that nonsense the last couple days. So that was good to see, and a great interview from Windows Central's Jez Corden, which shout out to Jez and everything that they do there. So we'll kind of cover some of that stuff, but there's lots of other things to talk about. We got some GTA news today. We got some Halo news today. Still got Game Awards coming around the corner. And we got an awesome panel here to talk about it all. I was freaking out a little bit because I didn't know who all was going to be here. I know Fuzzy was coming in real hot because he wasn't sure if he was going to be able to be here tonight. Psycho is not able to be here. He's just exhausted as shit.
Naked in the street.
Yeah, well, it's probably in a probably in a ditch somewhere, just like
I hope not.
Ass up,
I just want him to make it home safe.
No.
I just want him to make it home safe.
No, he's all right. He just had a long day, so shout out to Psycho. Pong's running behind, so he may be here in like an hour or so. So I was like, I was thinking about it for a little bit. It might just be me and Jasper hanging out here having a 2-man show, which should be fine, but it's kind of like Xbox Ultimate's usually that like larger panel stuff. It's kind of different energy for the show. But you know what? Fuzzy got here in time as well. Jasper's Mr. Always here like 15 minutes before the show starts, like clockwork, right? And then Steel came through, man. Steel was like hanging out in the chat. He's like, hey, I'm just hanging out playing video games. Why not the fuck come out and talk some games with my homeboys? So appreciate you being here, bro, as well. But how you doing, Steel?
I'm doing well, man. I can't complain. The week has been quite smooth. And just am enveloped in the world of Skyrim, a game that I've tried multiple times over. And this final mod list I got together has really put me in a good place, in a good zone. So it's dope seeing a game that's 10 years old, and what the potential is. And if there's one regret that I have about Starfield, and I wouldn't necessarily say it was a regret because I'm not going to wait 10 years to play a game, but man, that game's going to be different in 10 years for sure. But excited to be here. The week has been interesting topic wise, especially the streets. I just got done listening to some other interesting subjects, but nonetheless, we're going to get into some things. So I'm excited to be here, man. Appreciate you.
Yeah, right on, Steel. And how you doing, Fuzz? You had kind of an interesting day today, running around changing tires and stuff. But what's up, man?
Yeah, I felt like a pit crew for NASCAR earlier, but no,
yeah, right
it's it's been a good day, and man, Twitter's been nothing but interesting conversations and whatnot, and shenanigans, and and then surprise stuff for next week, and everybody's got something that they're talking about next week, either Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. But the big game, GTA 6. Get to see that first trailer, and it's not at the Game Awards, so of course Jeff had to put his spin on it, like, oh yeah, I got my logo, and they're showing the trailer next week.
Right. Hey, look at this, everybody, they're showing he always does stuff like that, man. It's so weird. But yeah, it's like the day before, I think, the Game Awards, so 2 days before.
5th,
right? So 2 days before. So the internet will be buzzing for at least a week about GTA 6, depending on what we see. I am curious if it'll be like an in-depth trailer or if it'll be like a, just a little teaser thing. But anyway, we'll get more into that in a second. How you doing, Jasper?
I'm doing pretty good right now. I'm playing Call of Duty Zombies. I'm trying to multitask this week because I haven't got to play many games. So I'm going to be playing games throughout the show. So
yeah,
that's what I'm up to.
Right on. You got your spreadsheet out?
Nope.
The only person I know that plays games using a spreadsheet on the side usually. So, but yeah, that's awesome, man. We've been kind of hooked into zombies and stuff quite a bit too. But I've been playing Final Fantasy 16, and it's very chill, relaxed game to play, right? So I actually kind of been enjoying it for that. Like the story is really, really good, and it's kind of a mature story for a Final Fantasy, which is kind of refreshing as well. But like, it's also in a lot of ways not a Final Fantasy, except for kind of the way they present the story and stuff. So in like some regards, it's like feels really different, but I'm still enjoying it for that like super chillness that it kind of has. And I'm kind of enjoying my time with it. But besides that, yeah, just zombies and hopping around from thing to thing. But there's so many games coming to Game Pass,
Yeah,
and
especially the
stuff.
Game Pass stuff. Like
Yeah,
like 5 games on that list I want to play. It's like,
I know it's nuts, dude. Just out of nowhere, like Remnant 2. Y'all were all a buzz about that when it hit Game Pass because it. The interesting thing about it is because most of us bought it, right? But
Yep.
if with Game Pass, you also get the PC version as well, right?
well, it's on it's cross-buy now. So if you bought it on Xbox, it's on PC too.
Okay, so was it cross-buy to
It
begin
wasn't on the PC store to begin with. So when they added it to Game Pass on PC, then it became cross-buy.
Interesting. So
Yeah.
because it's now in the Xbox store,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? That's cool. So that even if it leaves Game Pass later, you'll still get that benefit, right? Since you already bought it.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick. And all the
Kinda
DLC and stuff
wondering.
carry it over.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
DLC stuff carried over.
Right on.
With it being cross-buy like that, any chance Gearbox might be in the pocket?
Probably
Gearbox
not
has published
yet,
it, right?
at least.
Yeah, they published it.
What was
they're under
the
Embracer.
the actual dev? What was the name? Something.
Gunfire Games,
Gun-
I think.
Yeah.
You know-
Possibly a pickup.
That's a good. I mean, that's an interesting thought, Fuzz, because most third-party stuff it doesn't do the cross-buy thing. Who has so far, like from third-party?
Well, it's weird because like EA doesn't do it because EA has their own like app
Mm-hmm.
within the store. So I think I know the Lego Star Wars game did it. And that's WB.
But they didn't do. But Gotham Knights didn't do that, did they? I mean,
Well,
I didn't buy
had to-
Gotham Knights
No.
on Xbox.
Right.
Well, yeah, that's true. I got it.
I had to buy it on. It was not even on the Xbox store. I don't think, is it?
Well, it
Gotham
is now
Knights?
because it's in Game Pass.
It is now.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So it probably would work now because it's in the Game Pass.
I'm,
I
Yeah,
don't-
whatever. Because Gotham Knights originally didn't launch within the Xbox PC store.
right.
When that came to Game Pass,
Mhm.
then they put it in the PC store.
So now you should have access to if you
Yeah.
bought it in the Xbox.
Okay.
That's how Xbox games have been working. At like if it comes
Yeah.
to the PC app, then
Then cross-buy
when it
works.
becomes a bit-
Oh, is
yeah.
that like a requirement of them, maybe for the PC?
maybe because that's one way to do it. Because I know there was some. I was thinking about somebody else. It was Rockstar. That's who I was thinking about. Because Rockstar also has it to where they save your characters to their server
Yeah.
instead of it being saved to the Xbox or PlayStation servers, right? So it's like
Yeah, but
I guess it's
that's
their
like
way to
cross
upload it, right?
progression or cross save though. But like that wouldn't necessarily
Yeah.
give you access to the game. You know what I mean? So it's
no,
like
it doesn't with them. Well, Rockstar,
Not
they
with
want their
them,
money
but-
everywhere. So
it's just it's an interesting thought there though.
I think
We'll
it's
see.
because like most third-party games, like they won't go to the Xbox PC store first if they don't have a deal with Xbox for Game Pass or whatever. So they kind of avoid it, and then Xbox forces them when they do the Game Pass deal to go into the Xbox PC store.
Well, something else you had noticed, Fuzz. I think you were the only one that really called this out at first. Was like a lot of those games that were in this newest Game Pass, like dumping, if you want to call it that, were from Embracer Group.
yeah. Now I have like 2 of them wrong because Bing Chat just screwed me up after a while because I guess I was asking the same question.
Yeah.
Hey, who published this? Who owns that
Right.
publisher and whatnot? But yeah, like I think out of 12 of them, like at least 7 of them are, Embracer owned or published in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, I called it as like the Embracer bailout. But it's good to see because considering how they were shutting stuff down and laying people off, I'm hoping that this gives them enough of a lifeline so they can kind of, level out and go back to business as usual. And, maybe Xbox picks up a couple of studios or a couple of IPs in the process too.
I mean, maybe Xbox just giving them an influx of cash for a bunch of Game Pass games right now. Hopefully they use it to save their studios from closing because they keep putting out there that, you know what, a studio like Free Radical may be shuttered soon and stuff like that. So, yeah, and we already kind of know that Xbox and Bracer Group kind of have a working relationship too in many ways. So, I don't know, maybe if nothing else, right, this is maybe potentially a strengthening of the partnership or relationship there, while Xbox trying to help them out in what way they can to prevent further loss of studios and jobs and stuff like that. I don't know. I know that feels kind of like that in a way, you know. And Bracer Group got in over their head a little bit. They didn't get that big $2 billion investment that they were expecting, and then a couple of the games didn't hit, you know, and now we see a lot of news coming out lately, you know, about some of their studios and stuff. So we'll see.
I mean, honestly, it's probably their best year gaming wise this year with Dead Island 2, I think, Remnant 2, Goat Sim 3. I'm not sure how well that did, but I mean, they put out some of their bigger games.
Well, I think Remnant 2 probably exceeded expectations, right?
I think Dead
Oh
Island
no,
2
it definitely did. It definitely did.
They said it sold more than they thought, so
right. And Dead Island 2 may have as well.
Yeah,
I think that one did for sure. Yeah,
both
a lot
great
of people
games.
said it was quality.
Yeah, I like Dead Island 2 a lot. Like, it's in UE5, but it's like one of the more polished, better experiences, especially for co-op in UE5.
I heard y'all saying that. Yeah, that's pretty dope.
And Remnant 2 is as well, right?
Well, you know, on release it was quite choppy. At least it was for me. I don't know
but
about
it's
anybody
UE5,
else.
right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was smooth for the most part. I would say it was a good, for me, it was a good 75-25. But that final boss, oh God. It was more so fighting the lag than I was actually fighting the boss. But yeah, it was still good.
Was that because of the multiplayer, you think, or because of the just like game optimization?
I think it was just that zone.
I think it was just the game itself. There was that Remnant has so much going on in it. Especially like when you get into it. I think it probably was a mixture of things, because I know they also fixed some of the network capability and connections that they had in the beginning with some of their updates, and they've also, of course, have made the game better over time. So I just think it was probably a mixture of different things.
I know I've seen like lots of updates and stuff like for that game like come out from the developer and stuff. So they seem to be supporting it pretty well too. So
I mean, they did it with the first one. So
hopefully this gets a lot more players too for them. I mean, they could even see like an explosion. You know,
I think it will. I think a lot of people slept on it because when you hear that Souls-like kind of thing, and Remnant can be. Yeah, it does. And from your experience too, man, right? It's like it can be a turnoff, right? Like you step in there.
Well, when I was playing by myself at first, and especially where they started me out at, I was like,
that depends.
I was like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? And then it was like play with Jasper, and it's like, okay, that I was able to get through that, you know.
It's definitely a good co-op game. It's for it to be a Game Pass. I think it's a magnificent get for sure for anybody that hasn't played it.
And they put the first one in there too. So
yeah, which is really dope. Playing back to back.
Would you recommend playing the second one first now because it's so much better, or?
Because you don't have to have played the first one.
Yeah,
you might as well just play the second one. I think the second one is much better than the first one, of course. In every way, I feel like that's so like cliche to say, but it really is. Like on a visual standpoint, gameplay standpoint, like how you can make a build feel. Especially this one, I feel like it has a bit more freedom too. Like if you like a specific gun, you can just use that gun the entire game if you want to level it up. Maybe you get some other boss gun later on. But it just feels good overall to play for sure. So
I would say if you like the story and you're really into it, then you can go back.
Yeah, that too.
You know, one thing I just thought about something. I can test the whole Xbox Store thing, right, with Far Cry 6. Because that also just hit Game Pass, and I
got that on Xbox, right?
Yeah, I don't know if Far Cry 6 isn't in PC.
Oh, it's not on PC Game Pass?
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks.
Oh, it's only on Xbox Game Pass, right?
Yeah, it's console and cloud.
So.
Okay. Man, they find some way to get your ass. And like it's when I thought I had a brilliant idea, Yeah, nope, Mav, can't do that shit. I was thinking, hey, can I get fucking Far Cry 6 on PC now?
Oh, it was a prequel to Remnant. I didn't know that. Damn.
What was
Whoop,
what was the prequel to
It
Remnant?
was fuck, what was it called?
Whoop Whoop Kid said there was
Chorus
actually 3 of
or
them.
something. Remnant, something Chorus. I forgot what it's called.
Was it like an expansion to the first Remnant?
Or Chronos? No, it was a prequel. It came out.
Probably
It
was
was
like their first game.
It came out after the first one, I think, because it was a
Oh, it
VR
did?
game
Okay.
that they
Oh.
then made like normal or whatever.
Dyslexipedia said PC Game Pass and Xbox Game Pass isn't equal. No, there's some games that are on PC Game Pass and that aren't on Xbox because there's some games that are only on PC, right? And then there's some games that are only on Xbox Game Pass, and like some of the third parties will or will not be. The one where it's like almost 100% crossover is most of the first party stuff.
Mhm.
But even a game like Aura that's coming out next year will be on PC only, right? For at least a while, you know.
Chronos Before the Ashes. That's what it was
Chronos
called.
Before the Ashes. Okay. Shout out to Adidas 20 with a very generous $10 super chat. Says Uncle Phil probably delayed putting Activision, Xbox One, and 360 games on Game Pass to add FPS boost and variable refresh. Maybe what games that miss Game Pass will go into Xbox Store for cheap.
Maybe some, but I don't know. But I don't know about that per se.
A lot of Activision games, at least like more recent, have already been 60 frames anyway.
Yeah.
So those ones may not be needing FPS boost, but if you can boost like a Call of Duty to 120, I think a lot of people would be super happy.
I mean, yeah, that would be interesting. Like maybe go back and redo the like old Call of Duty, like before.
Yeah, I'm wondering though, like some of those older games are like the animations are like and stuff are tied to 60, so it may break the game, but
possibly, yeah.
Right.
I don't know.
I know, like, you know, Diablo 3 from Blizzard was already 60 frames, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the bigger games that we know of and think about from Activision Blizzard were already running at 60, but there are some other things they do, like maybe like what's the one where they up the resolution? Like they've done that with some older games as well, just make them like 4K or whatever and stuff like that. So it's possible, but I think more so than anything with the taking time to get them implemented is a lot of the back end stuff with like storefront type things and also putting a game in Game Pass changes. They got to make sure like cross the play is going to work within the different ecosystems, all these different things. So it's not stuff that they've had time to do ahead of time. Like ZeniMax Bethesda, they had time to work on that stuff because they weren't they had more kind of time, and there's also a lot less potentially to even have to work on, right? But with this, they said that until they closed, they couldn't really even start talking or the conversation.
I know that Black Ops 3 on PC, like, don't play that because it's like compromised, so you can get easily hacked in that game. So like everyone that plays it has to play like a third-party patch or something on PC. So like they probably need to fix that if they're actually going to bring all these games out.
I honestly just don't see any value in the old Call of Duties coming to Game Pass. I just don't. Outside of the campaign story wise, like going in there to play multiplayer. I mean, again, it might be cool for a night or two, but outside of that, I just don't see the value in it.
Yeah.
Like,
especially when they remake all the maps now.
Yeah, and it's like some of the older 360 games are cool. Would be definitely cool to come in,
like a prototype,
so
something like that.
Yeah, like there are some older Asura's Wrath and things like that. I think that'll be really dope. If they're able to get those to at least.
I forgot
60.
That's Activision.
I don't think Asura's Wrath. I was just using that as an example.
Oh, okay.
As a 360 game,
I was
not
like,
an
wow,
Activision
that's different.
game.
I didn't know. That was
I know the one Activision game that I am excited for would be. And I don't know how that would necessarily work, but is the new Crash game. I haven't played that one yet. So maybe that one would drop in there because I don't see why they would hold off on that either, right? That's an announcement that you can make. What's it called? The Insane No,
there's
not the trilogy.
There's the battle round or whatever the fuck.
No, the actual Crash Bandicoot game. Like
it's Crash 4. I forget what it's called.
Whatever. But yeah, so I think we'll see a lot of that. the most recent Spyros and stuff like that.
Tony
yeah,
Tony Hawk.
Tony Hawk for sure. Yeah, I forgot
Yeah.
about that. If I could play that on PC, that'd be really bad.
Yeah, that's the other question. Like, how is all that going to work with PC Game Pass and all that kind of stuff too, right? So, but for me, I will go and probably play through Vanguard, right? It's not one of the older 360 ones, but it's the only Call of Duty I did not buy. Because it is just, I played the beta. I thought it was absolute trash at the time, and the whole setting and stuff just didn't excite me. But
didn't feel good.
I would like to go back and still play it, right? Just because I have such a history with the franchise. All right, so guys, this kind of crazy conversation started happening. Was it yesterday or was it the day before yesterday with the Tim Stewart interview?
There was.
Was it?
I got wind of that yesterday.
Yeah, it was yesterday.
So that would have been Thursday.
Okay.
Yeah, Thursday.
So, yeah, there was this Wells Fargo thing going on. And anyway, one of the people that got interviewed was the CFO from Xbox, Tim Stewart. And during the interview, he was asked some questions and stuff. And one of the questions was regarding what ABK is going to mean to Xbox and what does it mean for the strategies and stuff like that? And, he started talking about how they're, able to, and planning on putting those games on PlayStation and Nintendo and stuff like that. Well, it had caused this hornet's nest of controversy going on because some games media, I think it was Zuby Tech, or I can't remember who posted the first quotes that then Cloverl had quote tweeted and commented on, saying it was about mixed messaging, and then the whole other side of this console war nonsense, all these other things, they started taking all these things and saying Xbox is going to be putting everything on PlayStation and Nintendo. Game Pass is coming to PlayStation and Nintendo. Xbox is going full multi-plat, third party. They're going to get out of the console business, all this kind of stuff. And it's whoa. So shout out to Nerd Propellant that had actually sent me the link to download the whole interview. And I actually had listened to it, and I was realizing how much context was actually left out of those quotes from the games media. Even the question in the conversation that was being discussed got left out, which is the most important thing. When you take somebody's answer to a question and you don't include the question, sometimes things can be skewed way out of proportion here. And all those comments that he had made regarding that were about ABK. Which really we've already known that Overwatch, Diablo, Call of Duty, these games that are going to be on PlayStation still, and also go to Nintendo like they wanted to with Call of Duty. They may plan to put some of these other games on Nintendo as well from Activision Blizzard. That makes sense for that, right? If they're able to, once Nintendo releases a new device next year. But the people took it as Halo's going to PlayStation,
No.
Sea of Thieves is going to PlayStation. All these things are happening, and it's crazy. Xbox,
Man.
And the same people that said they didn't give a shit about Xbox for so long and said they had trash and had no games. So there was a little bit of false celebration to the point where, from that side, almost about Xbox death and becoming the next Sega is what they were running with, right? And Phil Spencer sat down with Jez Corden, and Jez interviewed him at first just to get clarification on those statements, and it turned into a full interview. But first off, just the overall reaction from
shout out to Jez.
Shout out to Jez. It was great job on the interview, Jez, and it's awesome that you're able to get that interview as well. But overall impressions and reaction from yesterday when you guys saw this stuff kind of going around the internet, podcasts are just running with this stuff, and just some absolute craziness, man. And it was for me, I was literally there's no new information here whatsoever.
That I literally didn't even look at it because I heard it and I'm this is fucking stupid. There's no point of looking into this because I know it's fake. So I gave it 5 seconds of time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't looked at anything additionally since I listened to that. Like as far as what people are really generally saying or how they're feeling about it. There was a couple shows I tuned into that were definitely playing more so towards that. Oh, well, of course, Xbox is going to want to look to find a way to not have to sell hardware because they're the software company, going down that route that we kind of have pitched previously. And I mean, they're not necessarily wrong, but the way that you're making it come across, at least at least people are making it come across, is definitely being blown out of proportion. I listened to the initial Wells Fargo interview, the business call or whatever, and I hit y'all in the DMs. I was like, what was supposed to be here? Did I miss something? Because there wasn't nothing. I was like, wow. I mean, he literally encapsulated everything that we've been talking about in 3 years and pitched it to business people. That wasn't for us. Like, it blatantly, the fact that I had to go to some strange site to possibly download something, and I just pressed play and made sure I had to make sure that it wasn't going to hack me or something. Like, it wasn't meant for us, guys. So it's like, you take that into context. I feel like at least a few of us in the community, or maybe more like a handful, if you want to put it in that way, have been kind of on the heartbeat of what Xbox is trying to accomplish, or where at least gaming is trying to move more so. Because I don't think it's always, of course, I mean, this is Xbox Ultimate, but I think the overall scheme of like, at least our perspectives of most times have been, hey, everything is going to be more digital. Hey, Xbox does want to put their stuff in more places if they're going to allow it there. But let's not get it confused. It's not like Xbox is going to start putting certain games in certain places. Like, of course, service games make the most sense, your Call of Duties and everything else. But just because Call of Duty is coming doesn't mean that Halo's coming all of a sudden. Yeah. Just because StarCraft comes to every platform doesn't mean that Gears is going to come. That's not going to happen. And even if it did, the only person that's benefiting, and because this is the thing that was kind of weird, the way people were pitching it, and let me know how you guys feel about this, because people were making it seem as though if PlayStation, Nintendo ever did allow, because that's the other thing, they still have to allow this to happen.
Right.
This is not you coming from we have these people that, you want to get in Xbox, you need to cut a deal. No, this is more so Xbox coming at the head of the table and being like, I can pitch y'all in, but you don't have to be here.
Phil's said publicly in the past that he would like Game Pass to be on Nintendo, but like he said, Nintendo doesn't want that. Right.
Yeah. Exactly. So it's like when you think about that, and of course they don't want it because it kind of ruins their business model. People are starting to see what is possible with Xbox. And again, it's still early on for Game Pass to kind of show people, I guess, that it's working. But this was also another iteration, especially with Jez Corden's interview with Phil. This was another iteration of Game Pass is profitable. Now what? Right. How many more times does Phil have to at least say it that we've heard for people to be like, oh, well, it can't be profitable. I can't make sense out of it, so it can't be profitable. He's just saying that. Okay, well, I mean, he's been consistent, so I don't, and they keep spending more money. So it's like the
main thing is it's been like, well, let me hold on real quick. Shout out to Razor NZ for gifting 10 Fun Speculation memberships. I would super appreciate that. Appreciate the support. You rock, Razor. And then Jax82 hit us with a $10 generous super chat. Said, why are people thinking Xbox is going to be like Sega and become a publisher? Or is it they just don't like Xbox? I've heard third place a lot about Xbox. Now we're saying let's get them out of here seriously. For me, this conversation, the real reality behind why a lot of people were trying to run with this is because they think, like they have been saying for a long time, and they believe that Xbox is going to get out of the console space, right? And
I saw that going around the other day with this too. I'm like, are you fucking idiots? They already said that they're making a new console.
It doesn't matter what they've said in the past, Jasper. It only matters the out of context piece of information that didn't even state any of that whatsoever that Tim Stewart said about liking games being on Nintendo and PlayStation as well. Meanwhile, these same people also ignore the fact that Did you know that there are currently Xbox owned IPs on PlayStation and Nintendo? People, they've already been fucking doing this. There is no difference or no new evolution really of what they've been doing. This is the path that they've already been laying. Examples, what didn't Ori come to the Switch?
Yeah, Ori's on the Switch.
Right. So
Minecraft, Legends and Dungeons, I think, are on the Switch and PlayStation as well.
Yeah. I'm not sure about Minecraft Legends. I think that maybe.
I know it's on PlayStation for sure. I don't know about Switch. But...
Okay. So
yeah.
Then we have, like Elder Scrolls Online. When they came out with the Skyrim anniversary, they had released that for the Nintendo. It was never on Nintendo before, but also they put it on PlayStation. Which it already had Skyrim on PlayStation, but they did update it to the anniversary edition as well, which they didn't have to. Quake 2 Remastered, did that come to other platforms? I believe it did as well, right?
I think so.
I think everything, yeah.
So there's numerous instances where this shit happens, right? But it's not the only thing that they're doing. And that's where people are lost in this conversation, because the other games like Hellblade 2, right? That's coming out next year. Avowed, that's coming out supposedly next year. Like a Microsoft Flight Simulator that's supposed to be coming out next year. Hell, even Towerborn, I think, that's coming out next year. All these other things, right, are exclusive to the Xbox ecosystem. Why? Because, like Phil Spencer has said numerous times, consoles exclusivity, and not console exclusivity, but Xbox exclusivity still matters to the business model. That precedent is set by PlayStation and Nintendo. Unless there is no more exclusivity going on for platforms, there will be Xbox ecosystem exclusives, because that is the brand identity. And unless you see God of War and you see The Last of Us and you see all that shit starting to show up on Xbox, then you're going to still get things like Halo and all these other franchises that we just rambled off here exclusive to the Xbox. Now, the whole console space narrative, when they're getting out of consoles, no, they're not getting out of consoles. Why? Because they've said numerous times the biggest spenders in the ecosystem is the fucking console players. The people that play on console, the people that are subscribed to Game Pass also spend more money than anybody else in the ecosystem. So do you think they're just going to say, well, the people that spend the most and are at the heart and the core of the fan base are just going to say, we don't give a shit about you anymore? No, we don't need your money. We just want to move on and start releasing games on PlayStation, and which is also a platform which it is even questionable how much success they would have on PlayStation, considering the kinds of games that release on Xbox comparatively to the kinds of games that PlayStation fans seemingly only love, which is third-person action adventure, over-the-shoulder story-based cinematic sad dad simulator games, right? Who knows exactly what kind of success that would even be in the first place? PlayStation's even trying to figure out how to get their fans to like other kinds of games right now.
Yeah.
To think that you could just abandon the Xbox console market and expect your Xbox core fan base just to migrate over to other consoles, there's still a huge audience of Xbox console owners, even if it's not as large as PlayStation or whatever, just for the console space. It is a lot of money that you would just be fucking throwing away, and it would absolutely kill the brand identity of everything Xbox is doing. So no, they're not going to get out of it until really there's no reason to ever have consoles anymore, which is going to be well into the future.
Yeah. Gonna be 10 years at least for sure.
I think PlayStation might be out of the console business beforehand.
I mean, again, like I don't. The largest piece of the puzzle that I just don't hear brought up often is the fact that Apple seems to be making the most money, not even investing in itself, and now they're about to start investing in themselves more so in the gaming side of things. Why wouldn't you want to try to put as much of your content service side so that people can get access to it? I mean, I just don't see what's wrong with meeting people wherever their access point is. I'm not saying that that's the perfect point, but that's been the problem with console gaming. Why I think it's hard for people to get out of that old mindset of how we've been doing things. It's not that way anymore. It's been blatantly obvious it's not that way when you started building your digital library. It's you have to start evaluating these things and taking a different perspective on what the future potential is. Your games being on multiple platforms is not a loss to you, but there are still going to be certain types of content. You see it in all your other subscription services. Disney doesn't have what's on Netflix. Netflix doesn't have what's on Disney. So it's like you're still going to have a reason to be invested. Matter of fact, if Sony had a service like Game Pass right now that I had access to on PC, I would probably be invested. I might even have a PlayStation just because of that principle, because of that amount of access that it's given me.
If PlayStation had a Game Pass competitor where they put their first party stuff on PC, I would be a subscriber right now.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, easily.
But they don't even put their own games in their service. Like it takes them like 2 years.
And they're not getting my fucking money because of that. So
right.
Yeah.
And then
they're doing those partnerships with that mobile company. So maybe eventually we'll see a similar type platform layout where everything comes to mobile day and date, everything comes to PC day and date. I mean, it looks like begrudgingly they're getting there. I mean, they dug Jim out of whatever hidey hole he was in with just a T-shirt on, not even dressed like he's in a business meeting, but he's got a T-shirt on, signing the deal with this other company. And now they're going to have their games coming to mobile. They're going to have their games coming to PC. They're going to have more of that presence to be more like Xbox in the sense of like with the way, the cloud setup is working and everything. So everybody that's been all about that third party deal, it's like, well, there's already MLB The Show, which is third party. You got, Bungie, which is your third party king or queen or whatever you want to call them, because you got Destiny that's everywhere, and Marathon's going to be everywhere. So what are we even talking about? Like,
first party don't matter, obviously.
And then they're going to do day and date for the PC stuff. That's those gas games. So Helldivers 2 coming to PC and PS5 at the same time. I mean, they need to focus on that, as opposed to, Xbox will be third party. Like, well, in a way they have been third party in the sense that they published a PC because, well, in their eyes, PC is Xbox, Xbox is PC. And like the games we talked about earlier with Minecraft, and now with the stuff they have from Activision, you got, I want to say Outcast, but it's not Outcast. But you got like Diablo and things like that are already elsewhere. So
Overwatch.
It's just Overwatch. So it's been a silly conversation that was out of context, because it even makes mention about the focus being more so Activision, where you're getting a bigger percent of the pie. I mean, you go from being the guy that used to only get 30% when you sold that game to a customer on your platform, to now you're getting the other 70% to those other guys 30%. Or in some cases, like with Call of Duty, you're 80% to their 20% kind of thing. So I don't know.
Yeah, what's the conversation at that point? Like, money has exchanged hands, man. We're in a different category now.
Yeah, for sure. Welcome to the show, Pong Soul.
Oh, I've got updates, so I don't know if you can hear me right now. Can you hear me right now?
We can.
I can hear you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got updates,
greatest,
and it's flipping back and forth between. What are you talking? Why you got to start me off like this, Steele? Why?
Welcome to PCMR, baby. PCMR.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, no, it's hey, brothers. It's great to see you. Happy Friday night chat. Sorry I'm late.
You're good, man.
Real life. So I'm here though. I haven't been able to lurk though, so I don't know where we're at or what we're talking about. So if you guys could catch me up real quick, that'd be great.
We were talking about our favorite fast food.
Oh, okay.
What's your favorite? What's your favorite, Pong?
It's McDonald's. It's easy peasy.
I was not expecting that.
Always has been, man. Always has been.
I knew it. I was not expecting that.
No, that's not what we were talking about, though.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, no, we were talking about the before we get into Phil's interview with Jez from Windows Central today that we all read. That I thought that was an awesome interview. I was touching base kind of on the initial reactions from the internet on the kind of misinformation that was being spread yesterday from games media and from some, especially in the community as well. And what's your overall reaction to what the nonsense from yesterday, Pong?
So glad I've been having a hell week and I haven't been paying attention as much as I normally do. Listen, it never changes. War never changes. Okay. This is ongoing. What have we been doing? Like every week we go through something like this. And this week was no different. Again, we know the narratives. These narratives are nothing new. They wait for one little iota that their belief, their prophecy that Xbox is going away, and they take it and they run with it. It doesn't matter context. It doesn't matter if you listen to the snippets. Hell, we had people out here claiming that they listened to the entire thing and still came away saying, "Oh yeah, Xbox is going third party." Everybody, bullshit. So, but again, this is where we're at in this community. It's just hilarious. We all know that the media waits in the shadows as well, ready to pounce anytime that they can throw up some clickbait articles. So this is nothing new. I thought it was ridiculous. It was nothing that even before, Mav, when you threw in the link for the entire interview, and I did go back and listen to it's Tim Stewart, right?
Yeah.
I listened to Tim Stewart do the whole thing and got all the context that was behind it. And again, if you go back and listen to it, I thought everybody did a nice job bringing this out. Even Alex did a nice job in his video pointing out the fact that the whole context surrounding his conversation was Activision.
Yeah.
Like
that was literally the
that
question
was obvious.
That was asked,
right. So, even before that, though, even before I had gone and listened to it, just reading his comments, I was like, these are nothing new. This is stuff that we've been hearing. How long have we known that if Nintendo and Sony tomorrow stood up and said, okay,
bring it
Xbox, you win, you get Game Pass, go ahead, bring Game Pass over. In a heartbeat, they would do it. In a heartbeat, of course. It's money. Listen, this is business. I don't know how many more examples we need. And again, I'll yell it for the people in the back because we've mentioned it. I don't know how many times between all of our podcasts, whenever we talk about this stuff. If you all don't know by now, and this includes Xbox, this includes Phil Spencer, this includes all of your best friends in this video game industry that are execs. If you don't understand this is a business at the end of the day, I can't help you. Okay, I can't help you anymore. These people are screaming it from the rooftops that this is a business. They are going to do what's best to make money. And if that goes against what you think as a gamer is best for you, or that Xbox or PlayStation or Nintendo should never do these things, I'm sorry, money is going to win at the end of the day. It's a business. So buckle up and get ready. This is not the end. All of these companies are going third party at some point, but that's down the road. We already know Xbox is working on another console. That's already been confirmed by Phil. They're going to have at least one more generation. I've been saying all along 2 generations. I think we got 2 more generations before anybody exits the console market and goes all digital, all cloud, all streaming, whatever you want to say down the road. But they're moving in that direction. Sony's moving in that direction. Now, the only one that might be a long-term holdout is Nintendo, because they do their own damn thing over there.
That's also, Nintendo could be the fucking first one to do it, because you never know.
They could be. They could come up with something crazy and be like, Nintendo's all digital now, everybody. Congratulations.
Buy our cardboard and stream our video games.
Right.
I actually think Nintendo kind of buying into Xbox's dream would be more acceptable than anything else, mainly because of where Nintendo has kind of pitched themselves, right? Yeah. They are already kind of, they're not third party, but they are a side device for most people, right? And for kids, they may be the main device for kids, but how else do you expand that? It makes it more appealing if Nintendo, and that's why they cut that deal, and that's why Nintendo's probably going to release a device that can handle playing a Call of Duty, for an example.
Yep.
So they can get that market, expand that console base.
It's business, but that conversation specifically with Tim Stewart was straight up all in context of Activision Blizzard deal.
Yeah.
That's it. That's what he was talking about. He wasn't making any revolutionary comments. right? He wasn't saying anything different than was down the line. Of course, he's got a different voice. Of course, he words things a little bit differently.
Yeah, because he's a money guy. He's like,
right. He's a CFO.
This whole conversation was just about financial opportunity and growth and revenue streams and all that kind of stuff. And like, not the context of like the actual core plans of what is the actual pipeline is. It's about opportunity and strategy and all these kind of things regarding how they're going to keep growing in the market, right? I mean, it's stuff that they would never really actually ever talk forward facing to fans, talking about, well, we want to be like, because it's all just about the finances. It's not about the passion of the games whatsoever.
It's the business,
yeah, exactly.
bro.
I don't even know how this, like, the biggest news for Xbox this week was the mobile fucking storefront thing they were talking about.
It completely got overshadowed by this ridiculous conversation yesterday. Like,
correct.
You're right, Jasper. Like, the Xbox is saying they're trying to kind of fast track their mobile store, and they're working with partners trying to get this going to battle against Google and Apple, which is,
you mean the whole plan they laid out during the Activision Blizzard King deal? Oh my God. You mean they were being real about that and truthful about that? That's really what the ABK deal was about. Top priority number one was getting King, was getting Call of Duty Mobile. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
Yeah.
They were telling us the truth. Crazy.
Roberto Maldonado with a $2 super chat says they want Xbox games. That's why they want third party. Actually, that's
true.
I think there's a point to that for sure, but I also just think a lot of these people just want to see Xbox not exist in the way that they
blinded
do now.
by their
hatred.
Yes, they want Sony to be the only one in that space.
They're still
really
stuck in the plastic box wars, and they think PlayStation and Nintendo are the only ones that have really do it the way that they think is the right way for the business. And they think Xbox is bad for the business. They think all this other stuff. So they're saying if Xbox doesn't exist, they just go multi-plat, and it kind of erases that side of it. And then nothing's really going to fucking change, though. Like, even if that were to happen, right? Even if that were to happen at the end of the day, down the line, there would still, like, let's say there's a future 15 years from now, 20 years from now, where there's no consoles, right? There's just apps to access things on devices. You're still gonna have fucking ecosystem exclusives. That is literally the world we live in with movies and music today. Like, even Spotify has exclusive fucking content on it from artists, right? Yeah, you wouldn't think so, but Apple Music has exclusive content on it because
they have exclusive podcasts. They fucking spent like $200 million for Joe Rogan on Spotify or some shit.
Yes, even like streaming services for content creation, like Twitch and Kick and all these things, they have exclusive content. The reason why, because they want to attract people into the ecosystem. As long as there is divisiveness between ecosystems and competing platforms, there's always going to be some form of differences within the content within those to differentiate them, to attract people to do it, to sign up. That is one of the core principles of it. That's why when Phil Spencer's actually was being questioned about Starfield and why is it, he's like, because that's the business. Like, that's what the gaming business is predicated on.
That's all business.
Like, that's what it is. Like, Nintendo and PlayStation do this too. And they have been for way longer than Xbox even existed as a console. Like, that is what the precedent had been set as in the console space. And there will be exclusives ongoing forward. There just will. So, like, this whole thing. And the other thing I was thinking, Pong, is like, they want to see Xbox get out of the console space, right? And that's been the conversation. But again, like what I was saying earlier, like, what is the reason why Xbox won't get out of the console space? Again, it comes down to fucking money, right?
Sure, they're invested now, yeah, for sure.
I mean, it's also now it's their fucking like major pillar of their company too. So it's like,
it's their only consumer facing product that they have.
And
right?
yeah, and
that's
extreme.
and that's vital now.
And I
That's
think they
what
see that.
that was
Yeah.
part of the. Not only was Game Pass a major selling point, but if you go watch the interviews and some of the stuff that's come out afterwards about how Phil sold Satya about why Xbox needed to exist, the other major selling point was Microsoft needs a consumer-facing business. They are mostly B2B. Again, they're a boring company. Nobody thinks of exciting, cool things when you think of Microsoft. And so Xbox gives them that avenue, gives them that lane to the consumers as a consumer-facing company that can actually promote kind of that cool factor for Microsoft. Like, yes, Xbox is like in there with the consumers. They are providing entertainment. Thinking Microsoft as an entertainment company is strange. You don't think of Word as being exciting or Excel being exciting. They got to have something that expands their company and their reach even further on top of everything else they're trying to do with the cloud and all that kind of stuff. So that was another major selling point. They need that consumer facing business.
Yeah.
And it is money. It is money at the end of the day.
Yeah. And who spends the most money on it's the console owners, right? The people that are the most it's kind of like the diehard fans, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like per person, console gamers spend more than anybody else on gaming.
Oh yeah.
That's just the way it is, right?
Correct.
You got to buy the console, then you have your all the accessories, you have the library you built up. I have like 1,000 fucking games,
I
my
mean,
Xbox library.
But do you see why there's that transition though too? It's because everything is digital. It's that access point just makes it so much easier, because even on mobile, it's blatantly obvious too. That's why things are starting to get pitched more towards the mobile side of things. But we're also getting better quality games there because the hardware is kind of there now, and it's going to only get better. Once you get into that ecosystem, you're going to want to invest in whatever you're playing.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of mythology, right? It's like, why block it off if we can give it to you in other ways? So.
The other thing is they're just completely ignoring the actual leaked documents, you know what I mean, of the actual roadmap and plans from the business. And it's like, you're going to listen to this like words that are taken out of context from a CFO that's just in a conversation that clearly they don't even or have the ability to comprehend, and then ignore actual documents that actually show a fucking roadmap that was planned out till 2030 from Xbox. Like,
all those
But it
games
goes
were supposed
against
to
their
come out
narrative.
last year.
Oh, so plans change, right? Yeah, of course they do. Of course,
I'm still waiting
Phil's
on
lying.
games, man. I'm still waiting on where the first party games at.
Yeah, right. They don't have anything, right? That's what I keep hearing on shows, man. It's like, they still got to prove themselves that they can release new IPs and all this stuff. Like, I keep hearing this kind of stuff. Like, it's like
Still waiting.
after 2020, after the year we've had in 2023, this is still the conversation that's being had. I hear people talking about what new IPs have they really made or anything like that. I'm like, did they fucking not realize that Starfield exists? Like,
bro. But that's
Don't
not even the conversation though anymore. Like, that's what, like, when we used to get in it, like, it wasn't heated debates or whatever, but like when I defended 2022 because of Game Pass that year, and yes, 22 was weak as far as first party goes, but if Game Pass was able to do that, and I felt so confident in what was brought into the service, then what do you think is going to happen when they do start releasing other games? They're cutting deals. Like, that's the other thing that people keep diving headfirst into is, oh man, don't you imagine how much it costs to get all these deals done? You remember that document that went around was $300 million and this, that, and the other thing. It's like the whole PlayStation deal thing too, where people think that GTA is going to be marketed with PlayStation. If it's a money thing at this point, I don't think that that's what's going to happen with that. Like, do you guys not understand the amount of money that's being thrown around right now that Microsoft is willing to throw around? Like, you think that a marketing deal for one of the biggest games, it's just, there is so much, and I know there's other topics that we can touch on and whatnot, but there is just so much that I think is going over people's head that if you're a surface level thinker, I got it. Not everybody has to pull themselves out, look at that RTS view. I don't even play RTS games anymore, right? But whoa, that didn't deserve a pause.
You said we don't all have to
Pull
pull
yourself
out.
out. Yeah.
We don't all have to pull out.
Here we go. But anyway.
I mean, I'm down. You know what I mean? But
Whoa.
Well,
No, what? No, I'm
Hell
sorry.
divers. We gotta wait for hell divers.
But
did you see where they put out a trailer like yesterday at the PC game show and it said come in 2023?
Yeah, and that was, but she corrected it when she talked about it afterwards. I was like, really? So no show cares about what to any detail. We missed it.
Why did Tim Stewart get all this attention this week when we actually had a Jim Ryan sighting? I don't understand.
A hidey hole.
He was in a dingy shirt.
Bro, he pulled out the only shirt he had clean, which was a t-shirt, to show up to sign another deal that is going to help them in what area, folks? Mobile. It was said in the press release, mobile and more, of course. But with NCSoft, there's Jim Ryan smiling away in his white t-shirt. Are you kidding me? Why is the conversation still Xbox every week when there was actually Sony news this week? Why is every article written about Xbox? But I only saw a few articles just kind of summarizing the deal. But there was no speculation about what that deal with NCSoft mean, what that meant for Sony PlayStation's mobile side of things that we've been hearing they've been trying to kick up and start again. What? Why? Oh, that's right. That's right. Xbox. That's right. Xbox. The thing that we were talking about for 2 weeks straight, right? All of a sudden with Xbox, it's different. Call it what you wanted to call it, tax, whatever you want to call it. It's just different with Xbox. We got to write about it. We got to have spaces about it. We got to talk about it on PlayStation shows versus talking about what's going on over at PlayStation. It's weird, man. It's a weird energy. And people that deny it, sorry, you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
Well, it was all about the PlayStation porta potty on the airplane now, because satellite Wi-Fi or satellite internet.
Oh yeah. The PS Portal on the Starlink, the IGN thing. Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting stuff.
More misinformation.
Yeah. I hope that nobody bought it thinking they're gonna have a great airplane experience. You know what I mean? If they travel a lot. But
I mean, does anyone think they're gonna have a great airplane experience?
IGN was. I mean, IGN was saying you could use the PS Portal on flights. So it works great.
There were people walking around their house where you could see the thing getting all blocky and artifacty and stuff like that. So it's like, come on.
Yeah.
You're in the house and it's already artifacting. Yeah.
Starlink is actually supposed to be better than a lot of people's home internet.
Well, yes. We'll get Starlink then, broke boy. Dang.
not all flights have Starlink.
Get it for your house, man. You tripping.
No. Tripping. If my internet keeps doing what it's been doing the last few weeks, maybe I will get Starlink. I don't know.
No, man. Unacceptable.
Alvin hit us with a $5 super chat. Says Steele is absolutely right. They see PS got GTA 6 marketing, but that was the Terry Myerson era. Satya is putting that wallet on the table. I was watching Thursday Night Football last night. I saw an Xbox ad.
Oh wow!
I saw a PlayStation. What are their fucking subscription services ad the other night on TV?
Oh really? PlayStation Plus, Pro, Plus, whatever.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Xbox has been all over. If you're watching, because I've been watching Hulu and Paramount Plus and watching movies on Prime Video, and they're airing bits of that last ad that they did with the girl kind of reliving her memories as she they've been playing bits of that for Christmas nonstop.
That's
like,
a perfect
I've seen a ton of it.
commercial.
Yeah, it is. It's great.
I mean, since this ABK acquisition, really they've been doubling down on everything, bro.
Yes.
And we have even reason to believe, obviously, that they'll be at the Game Awards now with that email that they sent out with it says stay tuned for Xbox or watch it for Xbox announcements and stuff. So I'm looking forward to that as well. It's going to be pretty fun to watch. But yeah, appreciate
Did you see Sega's teasing?
Sega at the Game Awards?
I just send it. Yeah. New era, new energy.
What could they be doing other than fun?
Are they going to reveal the super game?
The super game? Are we coming back into the console space, Sega?
Hey, who's working with Sega on the super game?
But that would be hilarious if everybody was saying Xbox is getting out of the console space at the same time that Sega comes back into the console space.
It's going to be a partnership where Sega is the brand of the console, but Sega Xbox is just giving them all the games. Like, would that be crazy?
We have made
Dreamcast 2. Let's go.
partnership for Xbox in Japan to release a Dreamcast 2 in Japan.
Dreamcast X. Let's just go Dreamcast X.
Dreamcast X. Yep.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Instead of a Series X mid-gen, we're doing a Dreamcast X.
X. Oh, bro, day one.
It's gonna be
Day
double
one,
the
whatever
power.
it costs. Day one, whatever it costs. Don't
Yeah.
care.
That would be funny as hell.
I bet you there would be a lot of people that double up on that. I mean, yeah, man, if they, I just want the announcement that they've acquired Sega or something like that. But you know,
Xbox
good partnership.
Series.
At the Game Awards, there'd be fucking riots, bro. At the game, Keeley would be like, shit. Like, he would just like look dejected on the stage if that actually
That'd be a
happened.
killer announcement at the Game Awards, though.
Maybe-
If Xbox
maybe
is out there bought Sega, that'd be cool.
Maybe Sega
That's not
enters the
gonna
handheld to go up against Nintendo, just like old times again. Drops on in, says, "Okay, let's go."
We've released
Hey.
the Game Gear too.
That would be perfect. Yo, that would be crazy
Yo,
if Sega just
they-
comes out
they
of
could-
nowhere.
Yep.
You wanted a hardwired device. We've teamed up with Xbox to
That
give
would
you
be
the
so
Game Gear
freaking
too.
amazing, bro.
yeah, they could run that new Windows compact mode.
Exactly. See, it's all setting up. It's all getting set up.
Play Sonic like you've never seen before.
Now, that's gonna be. I don't know.
They
I
show
feel like,
Gear 6 running on it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Man.
it's the Sega deck.
The Sega,
The Sega deck.
the Sega Ally.
The Sega Ally. The Sega Ally Legion deck.
Just a whole combination of shit.
They just combine them all together. Oh, God.
Oh
That's
my
funny.
god.
The
He's freaking
the
amazing.
Sega Vita.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, with what you guys are hearing now, I mean, we're talking about the, the Game Awards bit here. Like, are your guys' excitement level kind of raised up now for like your level of expectation? Like, man, maybe this might be actually much more juicier than we kind of let on, because we were kind of, I don't know. I know at least for me, I was kind of down on it. I was like, it's probably going to be average. Seeing something. My most excited thing I'm in for is Elden Ring, to see the expansion, and they said it's probably still not ready yet, which is like, that's crazy to think. So like, I mean, are you guys, has that excitement level kind of notched up since we've got some of this news this week for next week, or what are you guys thinking?
For me,
Are you
Oh, I'm
are you joining us next week, Steele? Are you gonna join us?
Yeah, I should be able to be here.
Okay, cool.
It's the same time as PM. I think y'all said last week
Yes.
it's same time
yeah,
as
we'll
PM.
probably
PM.
go
Yeah.
live an hour early before.
I think the Game
awards
Awards start at 7:30. So
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I should be able to make it for sure.
Right on. Sorry, go ahead, Fuzz.
no, I was going to say, not as much the news has gotten me more excited, but the fact that they've done some price slashing on the Series X, I'm starting to think we see hardware at this Game Award.
The
From Xbox?
refresh,
Yeah.
That mid-gen
Xbox's
refresh
slim version.
Yeah.
The
Like,
cylinder.
Yeah. I think because
I don't
like
think
you go from like, what was it? $4.99 is the regular retail. And then they were like $3.99, and you see some deals at $3.49 with the game. Yeah. They're clearing the shelves to make room for the next one.
I would say that if it's coming out like early next year, but if
Yeah.
I mean they're sticking to the roadmap of like late August next year, whatever it was, then probably not.
But why not? Why not show it here? Why not announce it here and get everybody starting?
Because I mean, people are going to be like holding off on like, well, I'll just get the
but-
new one when it comes out or whatever. And also, it's going to be the digital thing, and people are going to fucking just make negative news out of it.
But that's what I'm saying. So they're still going to sell because there's going to be people that want the physical, right? Still, right?
Mhm.
There's going to be people that want the physical
That
version.
actually
New
They're
one's gonna be all
gonna
digital.
That might
New
actually
one's gonna
cause
be
a
all digital,
run on
so-
physical consoles.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right.
In a way,
Right.
you're right.
And we
about
know
that.
we know they haven't been making a ton of Series X's anyways, right? So we know that there hasn't. I mean, they've done better, but it's not like they're
keep
pumping
knocking
all
it.
out like PlayStation 5, right? So they probably have limited stock, worldwide anyways. And yes, people would rush to go get the Series X, the physical version, if they go to an all digital with a
I think
drive edition.
it makes the most sense for sure. I don't see why you wouldn't do it at this point. I mean, you've done again, it's one of those things, especially being this far in the gen, where it's like it wouldn't be so far out of the realm of expectation. Your competitor did it. Why not slim it down? You also have a Series S, the Black Series S, that has a terabyte in it now. Round tax time, you could probably get that right around $249. So like things start lining up for like to Jasper's point, just to include that too, because I think that does still make sense. You could do a little bit of a tease, 10-second tease, if anything, just like giving you some outlines, giving you something to something to talk about, and then boom, E3 next year, that around that time, that's when you maybe give that a little bit of a deeper teaser, and then get ready for that, or pre-order time or announcement or whatever, then announce it at that August school time or whatever, and go from there.
What about an alternative of like, we just saw that where they updated the Game Pass app to add that compact mode. What if they launched their mobile storefront at the Game Awards?
I don't think it's ready yet because they said in that interview that just came out, or not, was it interview or just like what he said, that information that he got was that it won't be like as far off as we're expecting,
right?
But I mean, they don't seem ready right now to do anything. Like, they're just now getting with partners to try and make it like a reality. So, could they announce it? I guess so, but I don't think they would announce something like that until they're like ready to launch it. And they still have challenges to face within like Apple and Google for as far as to actually be able to make that a reality as well, right? Like,
I mean, you could bring it to reality, but without putting it on their platform just yet, and it could be ready to go. So that could be one way to go about it. But yeah, I do think they're going to probably take their time with it though, just because you still got to figure out what you're going to do with BattleNet, because that is yours now. And since that has been, I quote unquote it, a better client typically than the Xbox app has been, at least recently for me. I would say the Xbox app previously, unlike other people, but nonetheless, you have to find a way to combine those two and it not be broken, and it has to be better than it was before. And then it also has to include this compact mode now, right? You have to make it work for everything, because that is your goal. So I think they should hold off on it for sure if they're with that type of announcement. I think.
As far as me for the Game Awards, I think we're going to get at least one good announcement from Xbox, right? I don't know if it's going to be what it's going to be. I think it's going to be something game related. Could there be hardware?
Hellblade combat?
Possibly,
I
right?
hope not.
Yeah, sick of seeing Hellblade. It's
going to be combat this time.
Maybe I think what is not shown that we know is coming out next year will be probably good money, if that's going to be what's going to be at the Dev Direct. Right, for January, February. So I'll be paying attention to what's shown. Like, do they use the Game Awards as like something
long-term
to announce stuff that's further away, right?
Tee it up.
Because they've done that with Hellblade 2. They did that with Perfect Dark. You know, if I could choose one thing, I've already said this. I want Perfect Dark to be shown again, just because my mind really wants to fucking know what that game is. You know what I mean? Like, what is the core essence of it?
5 minutes of gameplay.
But I'm hoping we get more than one, and I think they actually have enough to show more than one game this year at the Game Awards. Like, they've talked numerous times about taking advantage of the opportunities of the different events now, because they have such a strong pipeline planned for the next 3 years that they're confident in. So you can use the Dev Directs, but you can use also, stuff like the Game Awards, which they've already mentioned in the past, after the E3 show or the Xbox showcase in the summer, that they were going to potentially have something at these other events this year, right? So look at the Game Awards, then know we have Dev Direct around the corner. I'm looking forward to those announcements from Xbox. I think overall, because the weight of this year's Game Awards, I think this is, everybody in the industry, I feel like, is expecting this to be the biggest Game Awards ever, right? Like, and it has grown every year anyway, but with the year that we had in 2023 in games, the celebration that's going to be there for like just the amount of fucking awesome games that came out this year, I think there's a different level of buzz going on, different level of excitement. So I think that these companies that have these big games that they want to market and stuff see this, right, and they want to take advantage of that audience, so whether it's Xbox or even PlayStation, I'm expecting is going to have stuff, because they always do, right, at these kind of things. Plus also they had really shitty shows this year. I mean,
people were talking about VR. People were saying there's going to be a lot of VR stuff here.
If they show a bunch of VR stuff here,
do they still make stuff for that?
People said VR is about to ramp up again. VR2, it's about to go crazy. There's games coming. I didn't look because I'm not interested in it, but they said that there's a waterfall that's coming of games that you guys got to be ready for. They're first party games. They're part of the ecosystem. There's going to be more games that release this year. Again, because VR is like, I don't know why you guys keep like making it seem like Spider-Man was the only game. We got all these great VR games. Like,
stop it.
Oh, but like, not baby steps. What was that other one? Oh man,
did they show baby steps again at this thing? Maybe.
I hope not. I don't ever want to see that game again.
What was the
although Baby
Crossfire
Steps
X
is going to be a
game.
popular game just because it's like that Bennett
be
body
funny.
style shit
be funny,
where
yeah.
Twitch streamers play it all the time.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to watch it.
I hope we see Rise of the Ronin from PlayStation there. Like if I could pick one thing, like Rise of the Ronin, I think there's a lot of people that hope to see Stellar Blade as well, right?
Well, the Flute guy is going to be there, right?
Some more gameplay.
Yep, Flute guy's already confirmed to be there.
What game?
So
Flute guy?
Yeah.
Last time I think he was there for Ghost of Tsushima, so either Ghost of Tsushima 2 or maybe they use him for.
It needs to
Rise
come
of
to
the
PC.
Ronin.
Ghost of Tsushima needs to come to PC.
Maybe they announced Flute Champ.
That'd be a good
Switch.
Ooh, Flute Champ. Oh
Yeah.
man.
Maybe.
Skin Flute 2?
Huh? What? Flute? What?
I know he didn't say what I thought he said.
He said it.
You know what?
I didn't hear it. I'm confused right now.
I said Skin Flute 2.
Oh. Okay.
No, I think this could be a big. I think I'm always excited for these award shows. I don't care. Again, I'm there for the announcements. I want to see Baldur's Gate 3 sweep. So, that's what I'll be rooting for. I want to see Starfield sneak in with best RPG. I'd love to see that happen. There's a lot of different storylines with the awards that I'm excited about, but at the same time, it's always about the announcements. But to your point, this year they've grown every year, but because of the gaming year that we had overall,
it's gonna be odd.
The awards are
and the controversy that's been around,
right. As much as as much as there has been a lot of negative talk about the awards, that energy still shows up when it's time to watch because people love to hate watch as well. We all know this, right? Mm-hmm. So again, this year is going to be by far the biggest year. I think he'll probably see the biggest percentage increase that he's seen yet of the Game Awards because of the type of year it's been. So with all that energy, both good and negative behind it, I think the game, the devs, the publishers are taking this very seriously as a place to really advertise this year. So I think we're going to get some bigger announcements. I know Keighley came out and said, "Oh, we're not doing the world premiere thing anymore. What is a world premiere these days anyways?" Keighley, knock it off, bro. Just stop. Yeah. And then he asked on X, he made a post, "What world premieres do you think you're going to see?" You just got done saying they don't matter anymore, you dumb shit. Anyways, all that being said, I think this year, advertising wise, promoting your games coming out next year, your hardware, whatever it is, I think this is the year that a lot of places show up with some really cool stuff, maybe some really big surprises that we weren't aware of yet. So I do think that we're going to get some exciting stuff. So my hype has already been there. Again, I get hyped for these shows. I don't care. Again, if I'm disciplined, that's on me. You guys know how I roll. So I'm going to come into this like a kid on Christmas, waiting to see some cool new stuff. But I think we do get a big show from Xbox for sure. If PlayStation has anything to promote, they will promote it here for sure. I think we could even get a PlayStation Pro announcement here. I've said that all along. I think that this could be a big spot for them. Again, to show it off, and then they have their showcase later next year and really deep dive it. But I think just to show it off for the first time, like how Xbox did it with the Series X, I think they could do that here. I think Xbox definitely could be here with hardware. But I think we are in for a different level of show. Not to say that it'll have where people walk away from it and say, "Oh my God, those are the biggest surprises of all time." I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying overall, kind of like the entire year this gaming has been, I think people might walk away and say, "Damn, like every announcement kind of hit. Like every announcement was big. We didn't get any of that small shit." So
there's a lot of games coming out next year's,
bro.
It's not even like high quality games, right? So
I think Sarah Bond's Xbox 360 logo thing. Do y'all think there's anything to that? Because she usually comes out and clarifies something, but she didn't with this.
She's been spot on too every time. So if she's done that, it usually does mean something. I think that we mentioned that a little earlier, right? It was going back into the 360 catalog, maybe, or the first thing I thought about when I saw it was Gears, but maybe that's just me, because the 360, the thing that made the 360 most memorable was Gears, right? There was no other game that was like that. That's what demonstrated that console to you. Not Halo. I mean, Halo was extremely popular.
So the Marcus Phoenix collection.
That's the way that I took it when I saw it, but that was at first glance. I could be overstretching it.
Would make
but
sense.
That's the way that's what it made me feel.
Yeah.
Remember that? I forgot it. There was for a long time there was this rumored of this like collection, this trilogy collection being made from some Xbox studio or whatever, right? It'd be interesting. Another one could be like a Fable collection that's been rumored in the past as
Maybe,
well.
yeah. That was a good 360 too.
But yeah, like
I think she's hinting at something coming back in one form or another from the 360 era. Now it could just be the back catalog of Activision Blizzard 360 games coming earlier than expected, like right in January. So they announced it at the Game Awards, right? Again,
Right
get
before
people
Christmas,
excited
maybe.
before
People
they can
gonna
have
be on
their
break?
direct. Yeah, maybe that too. Maybe they do shock us because they said we weren't going to get anything this year, but maybe they do have some of that back catalog ready. They've already come out and said this week that the integration of Activision Blizzard is going way beyond their wildest expectations as far as integrating both companies. So I think that's certainly possible, but I think it definitely, whatever that meant, I think it definitely means in some form or fashion, we are getting something from something that was big from the 360 era or something.
What day did she tweet that on?
That was like 2 days ago.
Because I was
Wednesday. Was it Wednesday? Tuesday or Wednesday?
Because the Xbox One came out like November of 2013, so it had been like 10 years since the Xbox 360 was done. So I was just trying to like place dates in there.
Yeah, I just think she was teasing at something from the 360 era, but the Marcus Phoenix collection would fit in there. The Fable collection, again, we had that Fable tweet all those 3 years ago now, Matt, 2 years ago.
Yeah,
that was erased, right? That we all called out, right? Seemed like a pretty random tweet to have ready to launch.
Xbox Global Publishing that made a post with kicking chickens, right?
Yeah, kicking chickens, and we're about to kick off. What do they say? We're about to kick off something. Something like that. Yeah. So, I think that Sarah Bond was definitely hinting at something. So, for sure.
Yeah. Who knows what, right?
It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun, man.
Yeah. There was no context whatsoever to it, which is interesting. Like, she does do like the emoji games where she tries to get you
that.
She tries to get you to guess and stuff, but she says what that is. But like, this is different, like, than those emoji things. Like, this is like just the logo,
if they come out at the Game Awards and say that the Transformers games are now accessible to all Game Pass right now, and you go download it on PC, that's all I'm going to play for like the next 3 weeks.
Those along with Marvel Ultimate Alliance to get the license back.
That would be dope. That would be that would be super dope. That'd be cool to jump in.
Yes,
get some co-op play. That'll be fire as
What if they made it to where you can like cloud stream your 360 library?
I don't know if that was a big enough announcement, but it's certainly possible.
Like, what would you stream that's not already back and pat? Because you'd have to have a disc. So it's like,
no, I mean,
what do you own this digital that's not back and pat on 360?
What I'm saying is like that allow you to play it like with your cloud streaming on like your phone and stuff, right?
Oh, that okay. I thought you were talking about just like streaming 360 games. So I was like.
No. Well, I think that's what they were talking about opening it, because they have been still working on opening up the library to make it accessible.
It's in this interview with Jez as well, like talking about being able to stream games you own, your library, right? So what if potentially they started it off with like older games to kick that off that you may be in your library? And remember, Phil's all about game preservation and all that kind of stuff too. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just in the back of my head, that now that Sarah is in charge of like the Xbox hardware side
She's
as
about that
well.
life.
Like maybe could be something to that. That's just a hypothetical thought. If they were to implement something like that, maybe it would have a starting point and grow from there. You know.
Yeah.
Do you think it could be like one of those retro consoles that were kind of popular a few years ago that Nintendo and PlayStation did or whatever?
Oh, if they
do like a retro
a
360.
retro 360.
That would be kind of dope.
Ooh.
Make it all white. It'll be like the Raw
It
Ally,
comes
but it
with
would
like
have more of that.
40 games or some shit on
Yeah.
it, you know?
Yeah.
Like you can make a handheld 360, honestly, like, and just incorporate that. I think that novelty would be cool. That'd be definitely something I would play around with a little bit.
What if
I
they
mean, Nintendo
made,
and Sega both sold them, so I mean, why not?
what if they made a console like that, like it's like built on the 360 architecture and
Mhm.
stuff, but they also enabled like cloud streaming within it too? You
I
know?
mean, that would definitely be a path in. Would be a $99 box, maybe. That would be the $99 box,
Yeah, I think it
or
probably
$79.99 or something.
$100 to $150, something like that. You know, how much did the 360 get down to when it like shut down?
Oh,
I have no idea.
I,
Probably like
I think it was
$50
like
at GameStop.
No, I mean like
no,
official-
new
No.
ones were I think with the hard drive were like the 149 or 129.
It was the
Yeah.
Xbox
Okay, it was
360e, right? It was that smaller one that like kind of
Yeah, it's like,
wasn't a huge.
well, there was
fan
one
of
that came out right when the Xbox One came out. I think that was the E. There was one before that was the Slim.
right.
Mm.
That thing would sell. There's a lot of love for the 360. As long as they don't have the red ring of death in there again, that would be
I saw
fantastic.
no, that
Sosa's
can't be
comment. He's
part
like,
of it.
that's
That
the
can't be
red ring
part
every
of the
once in a while.
nostalgia. No.
We
We don't
we've
need
even,
that as part
We've
of the
even
nostalgia.
included the red ring just for nostalgia reasons. You know what I mean? Like,
You got to wrap it in a towel to get it back right, guys.
oh, dude, I did that so
Just how
many
it
times,
functions.
bro. The first time I did
That's the
that,
worst thing you
Kate,
could do.
Kate was looking at me like, "What the fuck are you doing?" I'm putting it in a towel. I read that's how I'm supposed to fix it. It
It's
worked.
the worst thing.
Wikipedia says the lowest price it was ever at the Xbox 360 configuration following its discontinuation retailed for $250 until stocks were exhausted. But is that the original?
I don't know.
I remember GameStop selling them.
Yeah, here we go.
And that's
Here we
what
go.
most
So the
people are running
Xbox
against.
360 arcade, right,
Yep.
went
Yeah,
down
that's
to
the one with no hard drive.
$149.99. Yeah, that
Mhm.
went down to $149.99.
You can get them for $129 at GameStop.
Yeah.
All the
Yeah.
time.
Okay.
Because I
So-
remember the kids wanted a 360 instead of an Xbox One at one point, and I'm like, I'd rather just spend the extra and get you something that can probably play the 360 games. So
The one,
Went
let's
that
see
route.
here, SKU and pricing. So a second SKU, which included, this was on the Xbox 360S, which included a 4 gig internal flash drive. The Xbox 360S models priced at $129.99. So yeah, Fuzzy, you were right on. That was $129. That would be the lowest 360, I think. Yep. By the looks
cool.
of it. Yeah,
man,
cool.
a handheld 360 that can cloud stream would be pretty cool.
Ooh, a handheld. A handheld
Yeah.
360, like a dockable one, maybe.
Yeah, like
But how
if
you gonna
they-
put disc in it?
Well, just have it where there's already like a preloaded digital games, like their
Right.
first party stuff on it,
Mm.
and then have it where like if they're about that,
They got so much first party shit now with Activision, Bethesda. They can put so much shit on that.
The thing is, like, if I got like a nostalgia 360 thing like that, I would want it to play disc because there's so many 360 games that you can only get on disc. You know what I mean? Like,
Yep.
and I have one just for that reason. Like, I have a 360.
That's why I kept mine.
Yeah, just
Started buying some old 360 games that are only on disc.
Mav, what if we get the Oblivion remake announcement? Here?
Oh man, that's a good
That's a
360
360.
callback.
It was exclusive.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was, man. What if we get Gears trilogy, we get Fable trilogy, and Oblivion
And-
remastered? Yeah, let's go.
they have a whole lineup of 360 like prime games that are getting remade, and they just start
Yeah,
they show them
start
all
a
together.
whole line
Oh,
called
that'd be freaking
360 classics, or like,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
like or something like that.
cool. Uh-huh.
At least these games are older than 3 years before they were remade.
Yes, that is correct.
It's like they go out and they get like third parties on board and start bringing
Mhm.
back some of those games. Or
Yep.
man, I don't know. This is like that's crazy speculation here. I mean,
Yeah, we're just
if we nail that prediction, that'd be fucking amazing.
it would be.
But I want to get into this. So that whole conversation we were having about the Tim Stewart interview or whatever, Jez Corden had reached out to Phil. As he says on the bottom of this interview, he said that the interview originally started out as reaching out to Phil to get clarification on those comments, right? It says the interview began as a request for comment for Microsoft Gaming CFO Tim Stewart's recent statements about the future of Xbox. Stewart was speaking to potential investors about what Xbox's North Star goals are. And in it created a bit of a furor on social media about Xbox's broader goals and direction. Where does Xbox console hardware and its traditional customer base fit into this new Microsoft gaming division? And so basically that he reached out to Phil and Xbox, I guess, to get clarification on that. So in turn, Phil Spencer was kind enough to do an actual full interview with Jez, which was absolutely awesome to see for Jez Corden and Windows Central, but also just to get other information here kind of about Xbox and things that are going on. So
and even better, Jez came prepared.
He did,
because his questions were freaking amazing.
He asked the right questions, bro.
Yes,
like the ones that the community that is in touch and in tune with Xbox and knows kind of what's going on has, right? So
correct.
First off, he asked Phil Spencer about Xbox CFO's Tim Stewart's recent comments regarding Xbox Game Pass. Stewart, in a presentation with Wells Fargo, said that Microsoft's aim was to bring Xbox Game Pass to any screen that can play games, including Nintendo and PlayStation. Mind you, Phil in the past himself had said he would like Game Pass to be in these places as well, but that's not what they want. That's not what those businesses want. So that kind of like is, I think, has been forgotten by a lot of people already, seemingly.
Mm-hmm.
Said that, many Xbox fans took that to indicate that Microsoft is preparing for an industry where Xbox hardware no longer exists. This is where people completely ran away with the wrong direction. Since Xbox Game Pass and its exclusives are a primary value driver for Xbox Series X, Xbox Series S, and Xbox One hardware. Phil says, I'll start by saying we have no plans to bring Game Pass to PlayStation or Nintendo. It's not in our plans. But I think you hit on the right point of what it means to own an Xbox. The thing I want to be focused on is how do we continue to innovate for people who've made the commitment to our hardware platform? And how do we continue to make sure that they feel great about their investment in what we've built? I'm obviously going to have my own point of view on our hardware, but I think our hardware teams did a great job with the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S this generation, giving value and performance in the hardware line. When I think about investments in things like Game Pass and Xbox Cloud Gaming, cross-play and cross-save, and ID at Xbox, all of these things, I want us to continue to innovate so people on our console feel like we're making investments in console that match their commitment they're making to us. Game Pass was one of the things, that over the last 5 years we built, and we continue to grow. It's on PC, it's on cloud. It's an important part of the Xbox console identity. And I think it will continue to be that. And we will continue to look at future ways for us to innovate across our game portfolio and our platform. So that's the main response to the controversy that was stirred up from that Tim Stewart thing that was going on yesterday. What do y'all kind of take away from this? Like, it's pretty much, all these things support the consoles is what I got from it.
Mm-hmm. I think the big thing is, unlike what we've seen in early Xbox One days, where misinformation would kind of fester until people got, wild, off beaten the path type of ideas about stuff. He basically shut a lot of that stuff down in the sense that, like, for those that may have forgotten about PlayStation rejecting putting Game Pass, and even Xbox rejected putting PS Plus on its platform. For those that didn't know that, well, now you have your answer. There is no plan, and it would be nice. Like if PlayStation's like, oh yeah, sure, you can bring that over here. But I think even when that was kicked around before, it was all about, well, what would make sense for PlayStation? Like it couldn't really have third party stuff in there, because then that would take away from their own store or their own service. So it would have to be like a curated Xbox first party only kind of, Game Pass. And we saw that they went with Game Pass Core as opposed to something like that. So that pretty much tells you that that's not on the horizon. PlayStation doesn't want it because it would take away from their coffers or their pockets, basically. And Xbox right now has no real purpose for it, because the console is the main focus. Like you said, they're focused on those that committed to them to commit, that same, effort and software to that customer base. So
yeah, like I really think it is more or less like he feels like he has to do this because of the controversy that was stirred up yesterday a little bit, to kind of clarify things, but also there's really nothing to announce or any changes that were made. So it's kind of like, well, I'm just talking here to let everybody know we're still dedicated to the console space, and all these things that we're doing that the people are saying is making us go multi-platform is also in turn innovating in the console space, right? Like these things affect the console, which is one pillar of Xbox, right? It's not just all console anymore, right? So when he talks about this stuff, he's kind of talking about the grand scheme of things with Xbox, but like mentions that the people that are invested on the console we're trying to support them. You know what I mean? And for people to run away from, I think, to take things out of context, like the console's not a focus anymore, is kind of what his answer was trying to battle against, a little bit. Anyway, all right. So then, Jez said, on the subject of innovation, I asked Spencer what that innovation might look like for Xbox hardware in the future. We've seen the rise of PC gaming handhelds like Steam Deck and the Asus ROG Ally. We've seen Microsoft experiment with things like the Xbox Keystone Cloud Gaming Console, which sadly never launched. I asked Spencer if Microsoft has a plan for the innovation he mentioned and to describe what said innovations might look like. First off, this is an excellent question, right? The questions he's asking and the way he's actually presenting these questions are just spot on by Jez. Like, dude does not get enough credit for being one of the best gaming journalists out there. He doesn't call himself a journalist, which is funny because he actually probably has more integrity and asks the right questions than most of games media. So shout out to Jez for getting to the bottom of all of this anyway in the first place, right? He says, we absolutely do. Just last month, we elevated Sarah Bond to be the president of Xbox. The hardware team is in her organization. The platform and services team are in her organization. We made that organizational move specifically to ensure we had a unified focus for our innovation roadmap across hardware and services. That includes a developer platform for Xbox consoles as well. And that, I guess he's talking about kind of like the dev kit platforms and stuff like that, right? That's about innovation we're doing within our teams, but we'll have more to talk about in terms of what we're doing in the hardware space and in the service space. There's a lot of great work for us to do. We're always listening. On cloud gaming, one thing, let me break it up there, because basically, like, he's just saying that they're going to continue working on hardware and services, right? I mean, am I taking that out of context?
No.
I mean,
no. He's flat out telling everybody. And this is the funny part that we talk about this. Microsoft now has their hands in a lot of different things, right? We all know that Game Pass was what was sold to Satya to tie it to Azure, to tie it to the cloud, to promote the cloud, to have a way to have proof of their theories in cloud. Game Pass was one of those levels, having cloud gaming. We know that they're working on cloud development, obviously with Kojima. and with others, but Kojima being the big one that they got to prove that this all can be done. Because again, we heard Sarah Bond in an interview. Mav, we all covered this. There was an interview with Sarah Bond, I want to say 2.5 years ago now, where she talked specifically about what they were doing in the cloud space and how important it was for them, their business to business, their B2B departments, to have examples from the gaming space of how incorporating the cloud would help those business to businesses, or those businesses, even though they might not be in gaming at all. But she said, because gaming is so complex with the data transfer and all that kind of stuff, she went through specific examples that they could use that. Now, what do they have their hands in? What is their biggest investment outside of gaming right now? AI, right? They are now just announced that they're working on their own AI chips. What better way, we've talked about it here, what better way to have proof that your AI can be used in a lot of different places than to have it being used for games,
Right.
which we've already know that they have a whole gaming department for AI already set up. Hardware is still going to be important because they're going to want to put those chips in hardware. They're going to want to have that advantage because, again, PlayStation isn't ready to move there. They don't have anything going on in AI. They might have a little bit in the background. They've got machine learning. They got some of that kind of stuff, but they haven't been investing like Microsoft has. Microsoft's going to have its own chip for AI. They're going to be able to put that into consoles. They're going to put that in hardware. That's
forgot about that.
Correct.
With all rumors about all of that stuff to begin with, and them going to, I think, ARM instead for potentially the next
potentially.
So
yes, having a cloud-based and a hardware-based system as well. They're talking about that behind the scenes. So again, that's when Phil's talking about innovation. There's a lot going on. And like he said, they unified the departments now underneath Sarah Bond to make sure that everybody's on the same page. So when they start introducing these innovations, that it's not going to just be like, oh, we introduced this over here in gaming sector, but everybody else over on the business side isn't using it right now. They want to make sure that from top to bottom, that is in line with Microsoft, again, the corporations, what they're looking to do, right? And how they're looking to move forward into the future. But the gaming, make no mistake about it, I don't know how anybody can at this point understand that the gaming sector is now a main pillar underneath Microsoft Corp, and they're going to use the gaming sector, which is beneficial to us as gamers, to promote a lot of things that aren't necessarily just for gaming. So again, when we hear about innovation, I'm sure they're looking at all of that stuff, Mav. They're looking at that digital future. They're looking at the cloud development with Kojima and how they're going to implement that. Those are all going to be advantages for Microsoft, for Xbox, in particular when we're talking about gaming, because Nintendo, PlayStation, they don't have that investment behind them. So again, that innovation I think is very important and was key, and I don't think you took it out of context. It says to me, that's why I say two more generations of hardware at least from Xbox before they're ready to move to an all digital kind of system, or a cloud-based system, whatever they're going to do. But I definitely think that this once again solidifies the fact that they are working on hardware at the end of the day.
I think the next hardware we get might be the most innovative hardware we've ever seen from the console space, right? Either from Xbox or whatever. I think Nintendo's obviously next with like 2024, and I think they're gonna, obviously push things forward for them, right? With that, but like as far as Xbox kind of leading the way with a lot of those other kind of technologies, I think you're right. I think there are gonna be some interesting things that we'll talk about when it comes time to that next generation, but that'll be a ways off, right? You're talking about like 2028, right? Around that time or so.
Absolutely. Yep. But proof of concept is huge to Microsoft right now. Proof of concept of all the stuff that they're trailblazing on or trying to be trailblazers in these areas. A lot of people working on AI, but Microsoft wants to trailblaze forward. Obviously, we saw Satya and what he was trying to do with OpenAI and how he offered Sam and the whole entire crew jobs if OpenAI was going to continue down that path. But now they have even a deeper relationship because of all that. And now that Sam Altman's back at OpenAI, Microsoft now has a non-voting voice on the board. So they just increased their position even further in AI. again, this is all important to their steps. They need proof of concept, and they're using gaming as a vehicle to that because of how complex gaming is. That once you get it working in gaming, it works for all different types of businesses. If you can get it working in this space. Sorry, I don't mean to keep taking time. This shit excites me
as an advertisement for their cloud initiatives and stuff.
Yep, correct.
Steel, that brownie looks fucking amazing, dude. Yeah,
you're on special brownie.
Yeah, I'm mute.
Oh, is it a special brownie? No, it's not a special brownie.
Well,
I don't
special enough.
It's homemade. I made it.
Is it got nuts in it?
No, it's got white chocolate and some milk chocolate in there.
Mm-hmm. Can I see it again? Oh, it looks good. I want some brownies.
It's got the good top on it. You know what I'm saying?
People don't know that Steel bakes a lot. Steel cooks a lot too. He knows. He's good shit.
Yeah, I'm definitely a cooker. I'm not the cooker.
Let him
but
cook.
I am a cooker. Yeah, definitely let me cook. Let me cook. But yeah. But now y'all talking about open AI and y'all talking about AI and gaming.
Just talking about innovation. We're talking about innovation and Phil's quotes about innovation today and about where they were going. Because Jez asked him about that, and he mentioned that Sarah Bond now is over all of it with the hardware and everything to make sure that obviously everybody's in alignment with what their
hardware and services
is going to go.
Specifically,
exactly.
That they're going to be in alignment and innovating there in innovating in hardware services, innovating in hardware, the business that they're trying to get out of.
Why do you guys think that it's taking so long for them to release the Family Pass?
That's in this interview. Another thing.
Oh wow.
We're gonna get there. I mean, Jez hit the money on like the right questions, man. Like there's two different emphases where you guys were mentioned something.
Only saw the beginning.
Hey, it was covered by Jez. He answered the right questions. So, so Phil goes on about cloud gaming. It says on cloud gaming, one thing that has been interesting. You've watched this early on. We talked about Xbox Cloud as a way to get onto mobile gaming. And globally, there are a lot of people who play cloud gaming on mobile today. But in a place like the US, the way people use cloud primarily is on Xbox consoles. They use it to look at games and browse games that they might want to download to play through Xbox Game Pass or even purchase outright. That sparked innovations that we didn't plan. When we watch what customers are doing and listen to the feedback that they're giving us, we think
they're
about...
watching us?
Yeah. They are. Remember all those Kinects that were on our above our TVs, everybody? They got so much video. When we watch what customers are doing and listen to them illegally in their home, no, I'm just kidding, and listen to the feedback that they're giving us, we think about as other things we can do with Xbox Cloud and for the Xbox console experience. I kind of think of them as like saying that basically they're pushing to see how the tools are used. It's a new technology, right? So they're finding what people enjoy using with, so they can kind of find ways to use that in their business model and also kind of push that kind of forward. Maybe they're going to do a thing like where it's, all like even games that are purchasable get like little streaming demos or cloud streaming demos and stuff like that. You know what I mean?
See why not?
So you don't have to download the game. You can make it like a little
portion
of it accessible for a certain amount of time or something like that. Give you a taste,
That'd be really dope. Bring the demos back. That's one way to do it for sure. I mean, if you think about like the power of the cloud and everything, I think Flight Sim is always going to be the best example, because if you take instead of pulling in petabytes of data for real world, what if you pulled in petabytes of data for content that you created, right? Now that sounds kind of insane because none of our games are that big, but if that's what's the potential is in a game, which is, I don't care how people want to slice it. Microsoft Flight Simulator, no, it's not directly first party, but it says Microsoft on it, so I don't know how much deeper they need to go. It is as much of a game as anything else can be to show you what the power of the cloud can do. It doesn't have to be real world data. It can be content that is, if we're going to move further into procedural generation, then you have to be able to put all this additional content somewhere that it can be pulled from. And if Flight Sim does it as effectively as it does, and it's only going to get better, or else why would they make a 2024, which is coming out next year, by the way?
So they can make more money and sell you stuff.
I mean, Right, that's always the goal. But it's also they have proven, at least to me, when they do these things, it doesn't come off malicious. It comes more as, to this point, innovative. Like they are trying to push that boundary. Like they do have somewhat of an understanding of how this cloud data could work and impact our games and could be more useful. And I believe that one of the main things that I don't know if Phil mentioned in the interview, but I know somebody else within Xbox stated it. That one of the main things they want to do is help streamline game development for devs. Not necessarily, of course, people lose jobs in a lot of ways in many different facets, but the main goal is being able to cut that game development time down, right?
Yeah.
Because it went from 3 to 6. What if we can cut it back down to 3, maybe 4 max, right?
Right. So then we get into roadmap, which is interesting, right? The thing that people said they're not doing. They're getting out of the console space. They lost interest. They're going to sell Xbox. Remember all these different things that always come up, the things that people have been wanting to happen for forever. And this Tim Stewart thing yesterday, all of a sudden people are like, oh, see, they're not going to make consoles anymore, all this stuff. Anyway, again, Phil shutting the haters up. There's a roadmap.
But he's a liar, so.
Yeah, that's what they're calling him now. They said, you have to, I actually saw somebody say, well, the CFO actually is the follow the money guy, not Phil. He's the face, right? Phil Spencer is ahead of Tim Stewart. Like, I don't understand how, like, you wouldn't want to listen to the actual CEO,
the guy that makes the decisions, the final decision,
exactly. Right? Yeah, he's still got to answer to Satya and Amy Hood, but that's pretty much fucking it, right? Well, even Amy Hood is not literally like. Amy Hood is vice president of Xbox. She's the CFO of Xbox, right? I believe.
Yeah,
or, I mean, not of Xbox,
CFO
but
of
Microsoft.
Microsoft.
Microsoft,
Yeah.
right? So, like, there's a hierarchy, right? But, like, Phil's pretty
Phil's at the
fucking
top.
high up there.
He's-
He's in charge of one of the major pillars of Microsoft now. And that's
Bro.
just all you need to know. Like,
They spent $100 million in gaming, and Phil's at the top, bro. Like, that's the biggest in corporation history. That has to
I mean,
be
they're
somewhat.
keep creating promotions for him to ascend to because there was nothing further. So they create new titles. Well, we acquired $70 billion worth of assets, and so we're gonna promote everybody and create another new position that we never had before, right? So
Because he's evil, man. He's evil.
yeah,
Exposition
They only
is
do that for
Caesar of all gaming.
yeah,
That's what it's going to be.
That's what's gonna be.
They'll give him a golden crown. Phil, you run it all.
He deserves it. He's the man.
Yeah.
But okay, anyway, so Phil says there's a roadmap of those things coming as well. There's a hardware roadmap. Why would they have a hardware roadmap, guys?
It's because like these major corporations plan out things like 10, 20 years in advance. That's fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's
Who would've thought?
insane, right?
Yeah. It's kind of like the same reason the graphics cards also get like 5 different versions in 1 year.
Yeah. There's a service roadmap. Maybe there's even a roadmap for improvements to Xbox achievements, which I know is something that you and
I mean, he's been
many
saying that for
others care
fucking since
about.
the Xbox One came out. I would like to see that actually happen.
I think he was throwing Jez a bone there because, like, I feel like he knows that this has been discussed before and stuff like that, right? We need to make sure we're exposing roadmap to our customers to keep them excited. We know that our customers want to know that as Xbox continues to grow, that we still have a commitment to them. This is entirely about this whole narrative about leaving the console space, right? So we want our Xbox core customers that have been with us all along to feel respected. So basically he's talking about that maybe they need to communicate a little bit, and that's part of the reason why he's here, trying to be a little bit as much transparent about this as he can, about this stuff, saying there is a roadmap, there is this. But, they're not going to announce a console 4 years before it fucking comes out. Nobody does that. You know what I mean? So it's like, what do people expect? But that he just literally laid it out there for us with that. Then Jez went into another question that I was hoping he would ask. He says, on the topic of gaming handhelds, I noted the growth of the Asus ROG Ally and devices like the Lenovo Legion Go, which are bringing PC Game Pass and Steam games natively in portable scenarios broadly for the first time, outside of some really expensive alternatives in previous years. We talked about Xbox Play Anywhere, which lets you play Xbox console games on your PC with cross-save and cross-entitlement. I referenced the fact that Xbox app on Windows 11 recently gained a compact mode designed for handhelds, and also asked what Microsoft's broader roadmap looks like for adapting Windows 11 and maybe Windows 12 for this emergency device category.
We need to sit on 11 for a bit.
Jez says, I appreciate the mention of the Xbox app and the work Ashley McKissick and the team put together with the launch with compact mode to make it more usable on those devices. I'm traveling right now. I have my Lenovo Legion Go with me, which is fantastic. I think about those handheld PCs almost extensions of my Xbox console. We've been pushing for cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression for so long to see when I pick up a game that my progress on my console shows up on this handheld in a native way. It's not just cloud streaming, and I can play on the airplane or play when I'm disconnected. I think that's vitally important to where we're trying to go.
I think with shade at portable.
Yeah.
Portal.
Yeah, is that what it is? I think a lot about product entitlement, and we have Xbox Play Anywhere. Xbox Play Anywhere has been a long-term part of our strategy, though I don't think we've made as much progress as maybe we could have over the years that's been out. But as I see these handheld PCs come along, I think things like Playing Anywhere and my ability to keep my games library with me and allowing me to play those on different devices, including cloud streamed at some point. We're looking at the ability to allow you to stream the games that you own.
That would be huge.
This is something that they've talked about numerous times in the past, that they want to try and find a way to do this, right? So that library of game ownership, they're still looking at doing that. And that's something that I remember there was an article that had come out from somebody, I mean, maybe even Jez last year, talking about maybe that's something that's not as far away as we think or whatever. So maybe an announcement that would have even have happened this year. So I think that it's interesting to see that Phil Spencer just randomly throws that in there. You know what I mean? Like, and he does that sometimes, stuff that's not like ready yet to be announced, or stuff that like they're still trying to figure out that maybe shouldn't announce or whatever. Like he'll throw in little hints of like, we're investigating this and stuff like that in the past. Right. So, but that's interesting, you know, including cloud streamed at some point, your library, right? Not just Game Pass library, right? But your actual ownership library. And they're looking at the ability to allow you to stream the games that you own. So that's something that PlayStation actually has. They did that this year, right? With the 4K streaming of games that you own. Did they do that? I feel like that was.
I think you could always do that with PlayStation TV, like even like back in the day, right?
I feel like there was like an update of from the cloud thing this past year.
Yeah, they were
that
supposed to have
announced or something.
They're supposed to. I think it's on like a limited basis for any.
Is that for
title.
PS Plus Premium owners?
Yeah, for
only?
PS Plus Premium, I think just for their first party stuff for right now. I don't think it does the third party stuff. But
okay.
Essentially, wouldn't that be like GeForce Now at that point? Or as far as streaming your own owned library?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm hoping they get this, whatever licensing they need to get figured out with third parties. I hope they get that figured out here real soon.
And I think that's probably what's taken so long for this too, you know, because I think that obviously the technology exists because Game Pass is there, right? But like, I think when they do it, I think they want to do it in more of a meaningful way, probably, as opposed to just like here's the Xbox first party games, right? So we'll see. It'll be interesting to keep an eye on. Jez says, continuing from discussions about the future of the Xbox platform, I asked Phil Spencer to elaborate on the situation for Xbox Cloud Gaming. Over the summer, Xbox Cloud Gaming became subject to lengthy queue times in some regions, particularly around the launch of Starfield. I'm not going to get into too much of this because he basically says that like they had to like not have as many new blades go in because of the supply issues with Xbox Series X and S over the holidays, and then they kind of ramped that back up, and they're trying to, you know, obviously keep that from happening. I was going to play something on the cloud the other day, and it said there was a 10-minute queue.
Yeah, I've tried it like a couple times this year, and every time I've tried it this year, it's been like 10, 15-minute queues. I'm just like, okay, well, I just won't try it then.
Yeah, and that defeats the purpose of how he says people are trying to use it for as well, right?
Yeah.
So that's something I feel like he knows that they need to work on or whatever. But that's kind of what he gets into here is that he kind of gives the reasons for it, but I feel like it's not worth too much talking about. On the topic of product entitlement, I asked Phil Spencer for an update on the Xbox Family Plan. Another great question from Jez, because this is something that a lot of us want. I know I'm personally waiting for this to drop so I can sign up for it because it will save me money when it drops, right? So, which briefly launched in a test period in Ireland and Colombia, but has since vanished. So Phil says, yes, there is a roadmap for the Xbox Family Plan. So that tells us that it still exists and they're planning, right? We put it in market to learn. It's important for us and for everybody to understand that Game Pass is mainly driven by our partners' content. So I think basically what he's getting at is maybe the reason it doesn't exist yet is because of the partners, right? Like other
too much money,
maybe like other publishers have an issue with that many people getting access to the games for like that, you know what I mean? Like, because let's say Ubisoft does a deal with Game Pass. They're thinking, okay, that's one person that's going to have access to the game, which will maybe potentially cost us that sale of that game or whatever for that person to play. But now they're thinking of it like, okay, if we put that game in Game Pass or whatever, now maybe 5 people are going to get access to that game, right? So that's where I think he's coming from with that comment. Am I misjudging that at all, guys?
No, I think you're spot on.
Okay. So that's the only reason for him to say that. He says, we put in a market to learn. It's important for us and for everybody to understand that Game Pass is mainly driven by our partners' content. Yes, we put our first-party games in day and date, and I think that's an important part of our equation, but we also have to continue to build a service that works for creators heading into Game Pass as well. So we do some tests. We look at what happens in the market. We share that data with our partners, right? So they've testing these things. They put the information out about like, okay, this is how many people played it with the family that didn't pay for their own subscription, maybe, or whatever, and they can cross-reference that to like, does it cost sales or all this kind of stuff? So they share that kind of information. So that way, maybe the partners will be on board with this. I don't know, right? We need to come up with a value proposition for creators and for players to make it a win-win. And we've been able to do that with how Game Pass is structured. We'll continue to look at ways to bring value to more customers while continuing to make it a great service for creators. So I feel like in a way he's kind of talking to like these other publishers and stuff and the developers and things while he's making these comments to Jez.
Yeah, it's probably like a revenue share split per download or something to that effect, where, like you said, if 5 people versus one person, having access to the game for a price versus 5 people for maybe twice that price, there's definitely some third parties that are probably balking at that just for the fact that they were like, well, how about you make it where it's like, 4 people for the price of 5 or 5 people for the price of 4 or something like
those
that.
publishers like, how do we get compensated for that, right?
Right.
Like trying to figure out those aspects, which is honestly something I didn't think too much about before, so this kind of brought that to my front of mind for me. So we also discussed this is from Jez. We also discussed Activision Blizzard and the future of the games therein. I reminded Phil about some of the previous teases we heard during the press tours and regulatory comments, mentions of things like Guitar Hero, Skylanders, StarCraft, and other classic Activision Blizzard franchises that have become dormant. Were those teases just exactly that, or is there a real possibility some of this stuff could return? If so, what are the logistics of that? And why is Xbox able to revive some of these more niche games like Age of Empires, Killer Instinct, and potentially StarCraft, while Activision Blizzard seemed unwilling to do so? What makes Xbox strategy different here? Here's what Phil Spencer had to say. Another fucking brilliant question from Jez. Guy, he's like reading our fucking minds, guys, about what we want to ask Phil.
And Phil answered with the answers we've been saying for a very long time.
Yes,
now, which
he
is
did.
beautiful.
So this is awesome stuff because literally we have these conversations. How many times do we have the conversation is like, well, Xbox, will they be able to bring all these IPs back from Activision? You know, all this stuff. Will they be able to free up from the shackles of Call of Duty for the creativity of these developers and all that? Like, that's literally something we always talk about. So here we go. Here's Phil Spencer's comments on that. I probably can't do the compare and contrast that well since I wasn't in the rooms at Activision when they were making some of the decisions about what to focus on. So he can't say, well, this is what they were thinking at the time, right? I can speak to us. It goes back to some of our language on Game Pass in the very beginning. We have a service that is financially viable, meaning it makes money. And Game Pass.
What was the last part, Mav? What? I've been told it loses money. That it. What? What did he say?
Yeah,
we're just gonna let's just
again.
erase that part from the memory, so it never existed. Bring it back up in 6 months.
It goes back to some of our language on Game Pass in the very beginning. We have a service that is financially viable, meaning it makes money.
Really?
He's a liar. You can't trust him.
I've been told that that's not possible.
But what does Tim Stewart have to say? Can we bypass Phil and just get the takes from Tim?
Jesus.
Tim would probably tell you the same thing.
Yeah.
My dad knows Bill Gates, and he said it don't make money. So.
Oh, Jesus.
That's great. We have a service.
Macro
that is,
economics, it doesn't work.
I keep accidentally reading this line again. We have a service that is financially viable, meaning it makes money. Sorry, it's my ADHD thing kicking into the back. I keep rereading the same line over and over again. We have a service that is financially viable, meaning it makes money. In Game Pass. Oh, sorry. We've put a lot of money into the market, over $1 billion a year, supporting third-party games coming into Game Pass.
But it still makes money.
So that means they're making more than $1 billion a year. Oh my god!
How is that possible when everybody's only paying $1 for it? How is that fucking possible?
And they're in third place. How? What?
They don't have any games. Nobody wants to play their games.
And what's funny is he said and clarifies it during the sentence. Listen to this carefully.
Yeah.
Over $1 billion a year supporting third-party games coming into Game Pass. That doesn't even include the investments in their own first-party lineup.
Oh, so see, Xbox isn't making money. The third parties are making money, so Xbox is still making.
What it means, they're spending a lot of money bringing third-party content to Game Pass, right? Which but it's still making money. It makes them money. It's crazy, right?
Crazy talk.
You got to spend money to make money.
Yeah, that's right.
But we don't have any games to sell.
Nobody buys any of the games, so how are they making money?
Um,
Just don't understand.
Can't fathom it.
This is all new math to me. I think Phil's made up his own math to make this work.
I think Xbox
He's
is
like
lying.
that one actor where he's like, was it the dude that played War Machine in the first Iron Man movie? I forgot his name, but he made up his own
Terrence
math, whatever. Yeah.
are you saying this is Philonomics?
Yeah. Spenceronomics. Or Philonomics.
Philonomics? Okay.
No, these are just more lies.
Just straight out lies.
Oh.
They're just making stuff up. None of this exists. There's no way. Due to the prior history of the gaming industry, there is no possible way
It doesn't work.
The Xbox could be making any money.
Nope.
This has to be a burning hole in the pockets of Microsoft.
They can't wait to get out of the space. I mean, they literally can't.
2027 can't come here soon enough.
I mean, like, I don't know why they spent $70 billion just to be like closing in a few years anyway. Like, it was... I literally heard somebody say that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, somebody said why, like, they literally spent $70 billion just before they're going to close in 2027. Why would they do that to Activision Blizzard? It was like,
because they want to burn everything down with them.
What? Yeah, that's what they said. They want to bring the industry down with them. That's what they said. Fucking idiots. What we see in Game Pass. That was your honest take. Right on. What we see in Game Pass is a service that supports all kinds of games, from the biggest games to the unknown indie games that you didn't know you would love until you played it. If you're an individual publisher, you really have to think about how do you get everybody playing my game. I think a lot of the publishers are naturally drawn to making games that are big hit games as big as possible.
Right.
We want to do that as well, of course.
What? No. Everything's going to become fodder. Everything's going to become indie games.
But because we have a platform and we have a subscription service, having people play more and stay engaged on the platform, frankly, regardless of the types of games they're playing, is a very viable part of our strategy.
Regardless, huh?
I thought people said in the
engagement.
past Game Pass was going to be bad for creativity. Remember those arguments?
Yes.
It is.
I just thought of, I just had an epiphany. The parallel between Twitter check marks that are saying that Xbox is getting out of the business and what Phil just said there. It's like, it's all about the engagement because engagement makes money. So they're building the engagement for gaming so they can make money. So these same people that are like, oh, they're getting out of business. It's like, well, do you have that blue check to make money, or you just need the edit button that bad because you're terrible at typing? I don't know.
Interesting, Buzz. So again, this goes into variety, and of the types of games. But again, he was asked this question. He gave us a lot of good things in this response. But he was asked about Activision Blizzard specifically with this, and he says he can't speak to what they were thinking before, but he can't speak to us now, right? And basically kind of hinting at they are more okay with green lighting other kinds of titles that maybe Activision Blizzard wasn't necessarily on board with themselves in the past, right?
Wow, who'd have fucking thought?
They didn't have a choice. So
Because of Game Pass.
Yeah.
Wow.
it's the end of gaming.
Wow.
Everything's
Crazy.
going down the
It's-
toilet.
He's a liar. Can't believe a word he says.
Fucking amazing. This service that was supposed to be destroying gaming, and
It is.
this whole
bad
thing
for
about
gaming.
buying Activision Blizzard going to destroy Activision Blizzard, all this stuff. Now, like, hints about freeing them up to potentially allow them to create new things, and that it's not just about only the big game, right? But they still is very important to them. But this is a direct response to that kind of question regarding ABK here. I just found it fucking amazing. I want to read his question again just so we get kind of reminded on the clear context of this, right? Like,
Please.
were those teases just exactly that, or is there a real possibility some of this stuff could return? If so, what are the logistics of that, and why is Xbox able to revive some of these more niche games like Age of Empires, Killer Instinct, and potentially StarCraft, while Activision Blizzard seemed unwilling to do so? What makes Xbox's strategy different here? And then here's what Phil had to say. Again, we can talk about how Game Pass is successful again, which I already had read, and how much money they'd spend on it. But this is the most important part of this to me. Like, the other things were just little Phil goodies that he gave us to like shut people up in the space and shut up the haters, right? The amount of money, but it's still making money, all that kind of stuff. But this is the most important thing as a gamer for me that I like to hear, right? What we see in Game Pass is a service that supports all kinds of games, from the biggest games to the unknown indie games that you didn't know you would love until you played it. If you're an individual publisher, you really have to think about, how do you get everybody playing my game? I think a lot of the publishers are naturally drawn to making games that are big hit games as big as possible. We want to do that as well, of course, but because we have a platform and we have a subscription service, having people play more and stay engaged on the platform, frankly, regardless of the types of games they're playing, is a very viable part of our strategy. Again, just had to go in again just because of the context here. I wanted to make it clear, right? Then he goes on. When you look at things we've done over the past 12 months, if you look at things like Pentiment, Hi-Fi Rush, long-term investment in games like Grounded, all of these games have had real success for us in our subscription and in our platform. The diversity of business models allows us to invest in different kinds of content and still have financial success with that content. When we look at the back catalog of games from Bethesda, we get really excited. We look at the back catalog from Activision and Blizzard. We get really excited about the things we can do. It's early days, so we need to be talking to the teams that are fully staffed and working on things already. It's not like, hey, there's a spare team that you can just go and put on something. You need.
Man, I wish we would have talked about this before. God, we missed opportunity.
You need to make sure those teams have passion for what they want to go work on.
Wow, like they've been saying
important.
for fucking 10 years now.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
Definitely important.
Passion projects.
Yeah, or like the teams that maybe don't currently have a passion for what they're working on because they're being forced to work on stuff that they necessarily don't want to.
Call of Duty Salt Mines.
And which way do y'all take what Phil said there? Do you like? He says you need to make sure those teams have passion for what they want to go work on.
So he's asking the teams, right?
Yeah.
Right.
As he's always
talked about. Do you
talked
want
about.
to continue working on COD, or do you want to make something else? Right. Like,
Raise your hand if you want to work something else. It never means that they can't break people away and create new
split
teams.
two teams. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Or grow those teams out, bring more talent in. This is what they've been doing with all their studios. Every studio that they've acquired has now grown. Every studio that they've acquired has worked on passion projects or done something that they've wanted to do in the past. This is the same philosophy that he's brought the entire time with acquisitions. All he's stating here, we're going to continue to do that. We're going to walk into these rooms, say, who is there somebody in here who wants to make something different? Do you guys have any good ideas for all this IP? Do you guys have any fresh ideas for new IP? Let's talk about it. Let's get him greenlit if we like the ideas. That's all he's been doing since he's been making all these acquisitions, and it's going to continue with Activision Blizzard is exactly what he's saying here.
Yeah. And it goes to like people like Mike Ibarra and whoever ends up being mainly in charge of the Activision side after Kotick leaves soon. It's about those people being like, okay, the pressure's off of them now to have to like, make the board happy and the when they do their investor calls and all that kind of stuff, and like this like insurmountable task they had to make sure they made a certain amount of money each year, but with Call of Duty and all of these things to stay a functional company. Now that pressure is erased. They still have pressure to be successful, obviously, and make great games and make a profit. Right. But like, it's not all on them now, like they're a part of something bigger.
And the diversity of the games lineup is a strength in Phil's eyes for their ecosystem because of that's what he's talking about. Was Pentiment a financial success? We will never know. Yeah. Right.
I think it was.
I do too.
It got rated high.
Right.
Which was crazy.
But how do you take that in this ecosystem? Does that mean anymore that you have to sell a certain number? No, it doesn't. It means what value did it create for your ecosystem? All of that. It doesn't have to be commercial. Critical success, like you said, Steel, highly rated game up there for some awards, got people noticed, right? I got Game Pass noticed for certain people. Even if it isn't the biggest thing in the world, that is still viable underneath this plan, right? Whereas in other plans that we've seen out there, the old ways of doing things, that is not necessarily true. That could be the death of a studio. But when you're underneath the Xbox umbrella,
get 5 million people to buy Pentiment.
Right.
This reminds me of a little bit of a controversy that had happened from Grub, actually.
Yeah.
When he had come out and said that Hi-Fi Rush didn't make what they needed. Right. And then he was like, quickly, like Aaron Greenberg and other people with like Xbox was like
we exceeded our expectations.
It exceeded our expectations. It was a big success for us, and like all these different kinds of things. Right. And I think, again, for people that are stuck in this older mentality of the game's model, right, it's a hard shift for them to understand that the return on investment is different when you're talking about a subscription service and bringing in a recurring revenue and subscribers into your ecosystem versus a pure, like, flat number that you got to make more than what you spent on. You know what I mean? And it's that the pure. We had this argument before when everybody kept talking about Game Pass isn't successful. All this kind of stuff is like, if Xbox is profitable, which we know they have been because of all the financials, right? If the content and services keeps going up and it's profitable and all these kinds of things, then Game Pass is successful, right? Because it's all hand in hand. Like, and what does it take to make it a success is those games. Like, the money they spend on a third-party publishing or Game Pass deal, there's no exact number of money they're getting back for that, right? What's the return on investment of them sending a check for $100 million to some random publisher developer to get the rights to their game in Game Pass, right? There's no, like, obviously that game's not going to sell a whole lot more all of a sudden because it's in Game Pass. It's going to cause more engagement, but what does it do? Potentially drive people into Game Pass, and maybe you do get some sales that you wouldn't have otherwise later when that game leaves Game Pass because these people love this game. All of a sudden you have the marketing aspect, the game gets highlighted more. All of a sudden now all these other things go on. Like, how much money did they just send it to Embracer Group for all those games that just hit? We don't know. How much money is Xbox making back for that? We don't know. At the end of the day, is Xbox making a profit? Is Game Pass turning a profit? Yes. At the end of the day, that's all that fucking matters because obviously the system is working, right? So if a game like Pentiment has a budget of, let's say, 50 or $20 million or $10 million. Right. $1 million. 5,000.
I mean, that's kind of low, but yeah, I got
$50. I don't know. Whatever it is, right?
It doesn't matter, right?
It doesn't matter as much, right? Like,
right.
Whatever the budget is comparatively to the amount of people play it. Like, and especially also for those service games, those ongoing games, like that have like monetization and all these other kind of things going on. Like, if they're not a huge success out of the gate, like, they still have long legs to be able to become a success as well.
They're always there and available. It goes into the retention of people on Game Pass, how many people were retained because you introduced another game that week, right? Third party, that goes into it. Like you said, Matt, the engagement goes into it. And then then you're not even talking about the effect that it has on the devs themselves. And what does that mean for their future projects? Because you are allowing and greenlighting projects without them being worried so much as an indie studio, right? Being worried that this game could crush the studio. So we can't take chances. We can't do this. But now underneath the umbrella, they're allowed to go explore these types of games. Sure, you're going to have games like Pentiment, critically applauded, up for awards, probably wasn't, played necessarily like the most out of any of the games, right? But added value, quality value to your lineup in Game Pass, and it's there forever. But then you've got another game like Grounded, another passion project from Obsidian that was greenlit, that never probably did they ever plan it to turn out to be this big. What happened? They were allowed to create Grounded. All of a sudden, it turns into a flourishing game. Phil brought it up in this interview. A big, giant game for them. That's what you get by allowing this diversity to happen. And you can allow this to happen for all the reasons that Phil says in this interview that you just brought up, Matt. That's what this new setup looks like. This is what it allows for. And that's the difference. That's the mind shift that people have to have. It's not counting widgets all the time anymore for Xbox. Sure, all the numbers are important, but how you measure success in this system can be very different from game to game and team to team about what that meant for Game Pass and what it brought of value. Xbox has the luxury now of not just looking all the time at hard dollar numbers. They can justify games by looking at engagement, by looking at retention, by looking at potential customers coming in, by looking at how it elevated for a period of time the spotlight on Game Pass because that game was getting critically reviewed very well. They can look at it from all different directions, which other companies, namely PlayStation, does not have that luxury because they don't have their system, their business model set up this way. That's the difference. And that's the hard part that people have wrapping their minds around. It's not
Yeah.
just always pure 100% dollars anymore for Xbox. It's not.
Yeah, and if you like the
And
old model,
it's-
you don't have to sign up for Game Pass. You just buy the game. That's still an option, right?
And another like aspect to it is it's not even about us. It's also about their employees. Like if their
That's what I was
employees
just saying.
can be like happier and stuff, they're going to retain those. You also are going to
Correct.
have creatives come up. Like you never know when the
Exactly
next
what
Todd
you're saying.
Howard's going to be in the industry, and you could have him in your pocket right now, but you wouldn't know that if you forced him to work on COD.
The creative guys, especially, like you said, Jasper, like some of the
Yes.
maybe the guys are just more in like the money side or whatever. They're just kind of like more like whatever now, but like those creatives are like really important.
Look what happened. Look what Hi-Fi Rush did for Tango.
Yeah.
Tango was known, right, for the horror side, right? They were known as, obviously, that's their stick. Here they come with Hi-Fi Rush, showing that they can do something completely different, something completely original, and it turns out to be wild successful. Now that studio has the confidence. Now that team of younger devs now has the confidence knowing that they can go make freaking games that are wildly popular with groups of people. Just to Jasper's point, that's what I was talking about. The human side of this, the dev team level, that's huge for them. And they didn't have the pressure that whole entire time making Hi-Fi Rush. Once they were acquired, they didn't have that pressure overhanging over them that, God, if Hi-Fi Rush doesn't sell X amount of copies, this team might be disbanded, or we might be looking at putting Tango in a bad financial spot. Even though we're underneath ZeniMax, we know how penny pinching ZeniMax was before they were acquired. They didn't have that pressure anymore. That might have made that game all the better. We don't know, but that probably made the game all the better, not having that hanging over their heads.
I mean, if you come to work happy instead of having to come to work like
correct.
Being like, oh, I just got to come to this job or whatever. It's like you're going to put more of your passion into that game itself. It's not just like I got to fucking get this art project for it done or whatever. It's like,
yeah,
correct.
I mean,
absolutely.
Yeah. I will say that Phil continues to say, I will say that the diversity in business models that we have in Microsoft gaming really lets us support different kinds of games, different sizes of games, and not every game we build has to be the kind of game that takes up all of your time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Big and small. Yep.
That's probably my favorite part of the interview. Like, it's just kind of like, not only did he like talk about being Game Pass being successful and all these other things, you know, but like he goes on to say all these things we talked about for years about this stuff, you know, that the industry still has some in the industry and games media have this agenda against and just can't grasp the concept of this stuff, right? Then Jez says, towards the end of the interview, I asked for some examples of the types of games we could eventually see revived or even cross to new platforms.
This is the quote I pulled.
I asked if we could see World of Warcraft, StarCraft, or Heroes of the Storm eventually hit Xbox consoles. I asked how Microsoft would go about meeting fans' desires for the back catalogs, while also keeping the teams at Activision, Bethesda, or Blizzard working on things they're potentially presently passionate about. Phil said, you did a good job at laying out some of examples from the past. Thinking about Age of Empires, we're on the 10th anniversary of Killer Instinct, which is another nice example to think about. There has to be passion in the team behind the projects. That doesn't mean that the team has to be the original team. Every time. I'm basically saying that maybe other teams will pick up on some of these projects, that IP, right? I lost my place. Okay. Okay, I'm not one, and maybe this is just my approach. I'm not one to come in and take a franchise from a team and remove them from the discussion or development process on how something new gets built. I think the original creators, the culture, frankly, some of the lessons we've learned from past experiences here are very important. You've seen from our history that we haven't touched every franchise that people would love us to touch. Banjo fans, I hear you. Shout out to Mr. Boomstick.
Yep.
But it is true that when we find the right team and the right opportunity, I love going back to revisit stories and characters that we've seen previously. In the case of Blizzard games specifically, really what I'd want to do is work with Blizzard's leadership to see where they have passion. I say all this, but I'm not at all suggesting that Blizzard doesn't have passion for reviving franchises too. I know that from my visits to the team.
Mhm.
They absolutely have the passion in this area. There's a lot of excitement for possibilities that we can all do together. But also, I want our fans and customers to know that I don't bring up games just to tease to no end. If people have watched how we've teased things in the past, there's usually some kind of reconciliation of those hints later on. I'm not one to try and lead people on. It might not happen on the timeline that people would love,
Correct.
but usually when I tease, there's something there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So one thing that feels teased quite a bit is Hexen.
Yep.
So what else is he getting at here? Right?
Starfield or StarCraft.
StarCraft.
Obviously. Yep. That was a big one. Guitar Hero was a big one, obviously.
Yeah. He's talked about that.
Yep. He's talked about that multiple times. What else has he talked about?
True Crimes and Prototype, I think, as well.
Prototype. He did bring up Prototype, I think, at least once or twice. I'm trying to think. Anything else, guys, that I can think of? Trying to think if
I'm
he
not
brought
sure.
up Spyro, Crash, any of those. But Hexen in StarCraft, again, those two we pointed out multiple. Hexen is obvious because Phil wants it so bad. He's going to find a team to do it. Whether that's id, whether he makes id in a couple teams and they work on Hexen as a passion project, whether he does a remaster with one of the great teams out there doing remasters now. Hexen's coming back. StarCraft was mentioned how many times on stage at BlizzCon? StarCraft's coming back. StarCraft's coming back. And to Jez's other points, Phil avoided the first part of that question, which I thought was curious, about potentially World of Warcraft coming to console. But again, that question was posed to I forget her name, but the head of Blizzard. We read that interview where she said, yeah, I mean, she was using the Xbox speak right throughout that entire interview. And she said, oh, I can't sit here and say I'd be lying. I'm paraphrasing. I'd be lying if I didn't say that we haven't had those conversations internally for a while now. So I think all of that stuff's happening. Again, I love this quote because again, definitely StarCraft, definitely Hexen, and some of the other ones that he mentioned out the gate when they first acquired ABK. I think those I would consider his teases. That means that those discussions have been happening early on. And he says that the teams internally have talked about it, when he's met with them already, that there's passion to bring back some of the older IP, which means he's going to find a way to get those teams together, whether by expanding, growing them out, forming new teams. He's going to find a way because he loves the old IP too. So yeah. I think we're going to see it for sure.
So how do they go about this? Like, do you think? Because from what I'm gathering from what he's saying is like maybe they go to the original creators of those teams first and be like, hey, do you have interest in bringing this back? Passionate about it, whatever, or talk to Microbar to see if they can go to the teams or whatever and kind of say who has interest, right? From the original. And then if they don't at that point, then if there's another team that has interest or whatever, and then go from there, right? Like, but not necessarily forcing anybody to do something specifically.
Nope.
Right.
Yeah, I like how he left that door open because we had talked about with the whole thing with Fallout, is Bethesda going to be the ones to make the next released like new Fallout, or are we going to, possibly allow or have it where Obsidian could step in and not necessarily make a New Vegas 2 kind of thing, but possibly pick up and do like an in-between story or something along those lines to add it into their queue of games. Because I think even one of the directors over at Obsidian made mention if we have a clear spot on our table kind of thing, we would definitely want to, have at it kind of thing. But I think that's where it's like, hey, Todd, are you comfortable with these guys doing this, or do you want to, give your team some time and put that in the queue after, Elder Scrolls or something like that? So, and then the whole thing with Rare and Banjo, it's like Rare has said before, they don't want to do any of their old stuff.
Yeah.
They just want to do new stuff. So now it's just a matter of finding another team. And if Toys for Bob might be that team, then, we'll see.
Yeah, Raymond, you right on the money, man. In the chat, he's saying pay from software to make another Sekiro.
Yeah. I said that.
Make it exclusive.
Too. Yep. Make it exclusive. Do it. Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then if they don't have interest, buy them and force them to do it. I'm just kidding. No.
But Xbox will be taking away a PlayStation exclusive.
I do like this last quote. There's a comment from Jez. It says, "While the Xbox platform may evolve over time, it sounds to me like definitively Xbox is here to stay. Tied together by Game Pass, every angle of its diverse business feeds and supports and subsidized each other rather than conflicts and competes."
Yep.
It's well said. That's what it is, right?
Mhm.
Like, they're gonna have some games that are multi-platform, right? That are on PlayStation and on Nintendo. They currently do now, right? They're going to have exclusives, right? Wherever people allow Game Pass to be, Game Pass will exist, right?
Yep.
Because they want Game Pass to be wherever they possibly can. And unless there's some kind of major shift at some of these other, like PlayStation or Nintendo, that ain't happening, right? And there was a time when we thought it was possible that Game Pass could come to Nintendo, until Phil flat out said in an interview once that they don't want that, right? That they would love it, but they don't want that, so but maybe one day they will or something. He doesn't. So there's a lot of aspects to this, but like the whole thing from that Tim Stewart thing saying like, Xbox is going to do this. They're just getting out of the console space. And it's like, like Phil just laid the gauntlet down, shut all that conversation up. They're investing in hardware and services. They have roadmaps for hardware and services. He reiterated that. Again, he reiterated that Game Pass is successful and makes money. He reiterated that the strength of it is that it's a variety of types of games that are in it, from big games to small games, and that all of them are important to them. That potentially this is going to free up ABK Studios and to be able to make more than just the kinds of games that they've been making, and all these different aspects, right? And we can look at the track record now that's been laid out from ZeniMax, Bethesda, Obsidian, other creators, like people that have said that, hey, we got more time to work on this game because we're part of Xbox, or we're able to grow our studio now, we're able to invest more, we're able to do these different things. Even people like Tim Schafer have come out and been in super praise of the relationship and what's been going on there, right? Games like Pentiment and Grounded from Obsidian never would have been made if it wasn't for the acquisition from Xbox, which that's words from Obsidian themselves in Exile, talking about the ability to do bigger games than they've ever been able to make before, and all these aspects while still maintaining their core essence of what makes that studio special. A lot of these studios are super happy to be a part of the Game Pass model under Xbox's umbrella to allow for creativity and all these kind of aspects. And meanwhile, some random conversation gets taken way out of context because the context was not even included in the quotes and the conversations that were being spread around the internet yesterday. And people say that all this is not happening. All this doesn't exist. The Xbox is going out of business, or they're leaving the console space. It's going multi-plat publisher. Console's not going to matter anymore. All this stuff. They're just going to, sell games to PlayStation, Nintendo gamers, fuck the Xbox gamers, all this kind of stuff. And Phil just came out there and just laid the gauntlet down and just said, shut the fuck up.
Oh, he's Elon Musk. Got it.
Yeah, pretty much.
I wish Phil would just do that one day. It'd be fucking amazing.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that's funny is, like, with all of the growth of these teams, whether it's adding more personnel, bigger studios, more equipment, more software, whatever the case
Still
may
haven't
be,
cut anybody yet, bro.
well, that and remember how everybody was like, oh, Xbox doesn't do organic growth. It's like, no, organic growth is after you acquire these or you build these teams up. That's the organic growth, and that's like the definition of organic growth. But nobody wants to acknowledge that. Nobody wants to talk about how their teams are growing. Meanwhile, over at Team Blue, they got some cuts going on, and it's looking kind of spooky in some regards, because they cut half of their games as a service as far as for the next year or two. So it went from 12 games down to 6. The other ones being pushed back or delayed or possibly canceled. I don't know. I don't understand why people think that Xbox is leaving when all the signs say the opposite. But yet the other place is on fire, and everybody's like, nope, we're not worried about that lawsuit. Nope, we're not worried about Jim wearing a T-shirt to a business meeting. No, none of that. So I don't know. It just seems silly to me.
Yeah, for sure. Nate Dogg with a funny ass super chat, $2. Send Tim Schafer to the COD mines.
Hell no.
Yeah, Double Fine, you're
No.
gonna be a support studio for Call of Duty now.
God, please,
oh my God.
no.
That would be the strangest Call of Duty.
Oh, that would, it might be a trip to actually play a fucking Tim Schafer Call of Duty though, like a campaign. Oh my God, that would be nuts.
Tim Schafer would retire. It'd be
Yeah.
over with. It'd be a good run. He'd be gone.
I can't wait to see what they make next, because they haven't had this kind of freedom like before to kind of like not feel
I
that.
thought they said they were doing like some smaller games before
Yeah.
they did another big one.
He said they're working on multiple projects for the
Yeah.
first time.
I
Like,
think he
it's
said
been-
one of them's biggest game they've made or something too. Or like,
Yeah.
I'm not so. I
I
hope they
think
make
one of them is what, Brutal Legend 2?
Yeah, Brutal
possibly?
Legend 2.
I hope
which
so,
would be
man.
Fucking amazing. Bro.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a strat. It's like a it's kind of like it's a strategy game a little bit, but not
It's a
strategy.
lot of action.
It's action, but like
it's action.
But you
It's-
have like your waves of like enemies
Yes.
and stuff,
Yes.
So
Yes.
like, but yeah, that game was fucking amazing. But it's
Yeah.
Jack Black needs to be in every Double Fine game. Just like find a way for him to be in it.
I agree.
somewhere.
I mean, but I like Tenacious D, and I was probably listening to that when I shouldn't have been. So
Yeah,
for sure,
the pick of destiny.
I agree. I agree.
Psychonauts 3. Do you think they could already work on something like
I
that?
definitely think
I mean, they can do whatever they want. I'm probably not going to
Yeah.
play their games anyway, so it's all good.
Yeah. Did you ever play Iron Brigade?
That sounds familiar.
What's it called?
It
now?
sounds
Did
very
change the name?
mech-like.
Is that the new name? Y'all remember
What?
Iron Brigade, the mech
I
game?
think that's just the name of it, isn't it?
That's the name of
Well,
it.
there
Yeah, I
was
was about to
no.
say,
It
I-
originally had a different name, and then
Oh.
it changed names.
I don't remember that part.
I don't know. No,
I always
but
knew it as Iron
I don't think I
Brigade.
played it.
I don't remember. I don't remember what it was before.
Okay, I gotta look this up so you guys don't think I'm crazy. Iron Brigade. Okay, that's the wrong thing. Okay,
A
video.
lot
game.
of
yeah.
entertaining content right there.
Yeah,
Just-
it was. Sorry, it was originally called Trenched when it came out.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, when I
didn't know
originally
that.
bought it, it was Trenched, and then it changed its name to Iron
Yeesh.
Brigade. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, that recently hit Game Pass too. I think
Mm-hmm.
a fun game.
I think it was that games was gold like on the 360 at one point.
Yeah, it's a fun game. I recommend everybody play it. Anyway, guys, I'm hungry too. My wife says she's hungry. I'm hungry. It's time for us to get out of here. But
Ow!
this was a fun show, everybody. This was fun. Like this Jez interview was absolutely awesome, and he did a fantastic job. We had some great conversations tonight. Thank everybody for being here. The chat, you rock. Thank you all for taking part in another fun show. Next week is the Game Awards. It's going to be a crazy week. It's going to be interesting. There's going to be leaks. There's always leaks leading up to the Game Awards.
Oh, yeah.
Like that happens every single time. But all right, Jasper, let everybody know where they can find you, bro.
Yo, check it out. Lord Jasper Twitter, Lord Master Jasper YouTube, all that fun stuff. Monday, Tuesday, Friday, 10 o'clock right here. Fun Speculation Network with FSP, Fun Pop, and Xbox Ultimate. That's where I am. That's what I do. Check it out and have fun.
Right on, man. Appreciate you. Steel Rain, thanks for hopping in with us today, bro. It was absolutely
Yeah, man.
awesome to have you come in and help keep the show live, raw, and uncut.
Oh, I'm about to jump out the wrapper right now. No, it's almost midnight, guys. No, but anyway,
Oh,
you guys
boy.
can find
Again.
you guys can find me Steel Rain. The T is a 7 everywhere. Easiest place probably is Google. But tomorrow morning, Saturday morning, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, and 3 p.m. UK time. Live a Split Screen will be live. Yeah, so come check us out. Come hang out. Hey, there is a special announcement. I'll make it here in case you guys are interested. We are giving away a Series S. So Merry Christmas. Our way of just giving back to the community and whatnot. So come check us out. Again, one of the main rules, you got to be subscribed and you got to be live. So take that as you want. I'll continue to update that. That's going to be something that happens within the next week or so. But yeah, man. So greatly appreciate you guys. chopping it up, pulling me away from Skyrim for a bit, and chat. Appreciate you guys too. Yeah, we're having some awesome conversations in there. So
Yeah, chat was
much
on
love.
fire tonight, guys. Appreciate you all. And thanks again, Steel. Fuzzy Belvedere, what about you, bro?
Oh, just thank you for having me on. It was awesome being here with you guys. Thanks to everybody in the chat for checking us out and stuff. But man, this, like you said, it's going to be pretty exciting and an interesting next couple of weeks here. But man, for those that want to just hear my rambles and rants on anything gaming related, just follow me on Twitter at fuzzy_Belvedere. Check out me, Pong, and PTK on PTK Blam's channel tomorrow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Shop Podcast. And then on Monday, hopefully right back here for FSP, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right on Fun Speculation Network. Look forward to seeing you there.
Right on, bro. Appreciate you. And Pong Soul. Man, it's been weird, Pong, because, you know, we had Thanksgiving. We didn't have PM in the PM then.
Yeah,
we weren't able to do PM in the PM yesterday. And then next week, PM in the PM is going to be a different kind of thing because we have our Game Awards co-stream. So it'll literally be like a month between PM and the PM shows, like normal
classic PM and the PMs.
I mean, we're gonna have a panel next week and stuff for the co-stream, so it'll be interesting. But you know, it's good that you're able to make it today, though, bro. I know you had a lot going on, so I appreciate you crashing the show in the middle of it. But that's awesome that you made it.
Yeah, no, I'm glad I could too. Much needed. I didn't know if I was going to make it tonight either. I wasn't feeling so well. Again, it's been a hellish week, but again, as always, I try, no matter what happens, I really do try to make shows. Like I was trying to make PM and the PM still work on Thursday, just because even if I'm not feeling the best or whatever the case may be, these getting around this energy and being with people that I love so much in this community here on the panel and in the chat, it really does help. It really is a therapy session in a lot of ways. So appreciate this, brothers. Again, sorry I was late, y'all. But it has been one hell of a week. But glad to be here and glad to get the show done and to talk gaming. I've been out of the loop. I haven't even been on Twitter as much, like nothing. Like it's been a crazy, crazy week. So great to be here. Great to have some good discussions. Chat, you guys were absolutely amazing. Really good people in the chat, almost 250 live the entire time. I mean, you guys are phenomenal discussing what we're talking about, having your own side discussions. Always love to see it, no matter what. So thank you all for being here. Tomorrow morning, as Steele said, my brother from another and I will be live. So get ready for that. And yes, Eastside Vandal, I will have my bottle of Palmer's cocoa butter here for you. I will show it to you, okay? But otherwise, we are going to be live 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central Time. Lots to get into tomorrow. Like Steele said, we are doing a special giveaway. Shout out to the legend, Yobi, who has taken time away from the community, but he popped back on, living split screen in the chat a couple weeks ago, lived up to, you know, what he had said he was going to do for us at 1K. Never expected, but always appreciated. You'll be showing up out of the blue again from his time away, which he's needed to do that. And again, we are going to honor that and give away that Series S. So join us. As Steele said, got to be subscribed, got to be live. So be there, buckle up, get ready. 3+ hours tomorrow morning. Steele and I got a lot to get into because there's a lot of little news too that we need to talk about and have some fun with. And then tomorrow night, it's the Shop Podcast, PTK Blam's channel, Fuzzy Belvedere, PTK Blam, myself. I don't know if he's announced guests yet or not, but it's going to be a great show. It's the best way to end your Saturday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 o'clock Central Time. Be there for that, the Shop Podcast every Saturday night. And then Sunday, actually do have an extra show. This man has hit me up a couple times, and I've been busy the past couple times. I've been on a show multiple times, but man, I'm going to get down with Fonz. We're going to have a good time on Games Talk Live. It's been a long time since I joined him over there, so I'm going to make it happen on Sunday. So that is 5 p.m. Central Time, I believe. Yeah, 5 p.m. Central Time. I think, correct? I think so. Yes, 5 p.m.
I think
6
it's around the time.
Yeah, 6 o'clock Eastern Time on Sunday. So you will get an extra dose since I did not get to go last night with PM to PM. And then next week, it starts all over again, folks. You already know it. Double Barrel Gaming, Mr. Boomstick. Every Tuesday, Xbox Factor Podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time, all good things green. And then like Mav has said, PM and the PM is going to be a special one. We're going to do co-stream for the Game Awards. It's going to be freaking amazing. You always know when you come in, no matter what we think of some of the nonsense that happens with these shows, you're going to get excitement. We're going to be looking forward to the announcements. It's going to be a fun time. We're going to have some of the rest of the family there. So join us on Thursday night for that. Otherwise, everybody, it is the golden age of gaming. It really, really is. Get out there, play what you love what you play. And I'm going to talk to y'all real soon. And don't forget, if you haven't played Remnant 2, please go download it and try it. Freaking blast of a game. Can't believe that Shadow dropped into Game Pass.
Yeah.
Absolutely amazing.
Nuts.
Go check it out.
Real quick as well, guys. Anybody that's into Halo, we got the announcement December 5th. You're getting another big update for Halo Infinite. You're getting the Firefight King of the Hills dropping, right? There's a bunch of other stuff too, but that's the biggest part of it, right? So December 5th, just things with the gaming on Xbox just keep getting better, bro. We got fucking Firefight coming to Halo officially. Awesome. Have a good one, everybody. Take it easy and good night. We'll see you soon. Peace out.
Bye.
Later.